In any case, folks, let's blast off. Let's get it twisted. I ripped a little secret stream earlier for Bilibili in the morning. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to test out if I could go live without it bricking my live streaming setup. Your interview with Liz Plank was amazing. Thank you. Can't you just cover your chat on your Bilibili stream? No, I can't. You cannot dual stream? No, you can dual stream. It's just like you can't show chat from, like when you're dual casting, even on like YouTube and Twitch and stuff, I think like every platform on live streaming has like restrictions on showing chat from a different platform. Just like even when you put up YouTube videos, for example, in the first like 5 minutes, everyone will censor the YouTube. The Bilibili wants you to wave if you can read their chat comments. Yes, I'm reading the Bilibili chat comments as well. Yes, I just don't know if you can see our comment says wave if you can see us, lol, here. Okay. There's a site you can use the Twitch chat alongside YouTube video. Turns out there were at least 89 instances of Russian hackers sabotaging U.S. infrastructure in 2024, causing evacuations, water overflows, etc. With love, this was your fit inspo. That's messed up, bro. Guys, not in front of the Bilibili chat, dude. Stop. Not in front of the Chinese chat. They think I'm cool over there. They don't know. Anyway, but that's it. That's all I got. We got a lot of news to cover. Obviously, we got Brad Lander running in New York City. ACA subsidy vote fails. Gilmar Burger Garcia release ordered. U.S. piracy of Venezuelan oil tanker. And we got the video game awards later. And of course, I just popped up Perky, Charlie Kirky. We still got right-wing infighting going on. Candace goes after Erica Kirky. Brad Lander runs in New York City. ACA subsidy vote fails. Gilmar Garcia release order. U.S. piracy of Venezuelan oil tanker. Controversy. VGA later and more. Get in now. Yeah, we got the Z-Way thing too. Wait, so news coverage is okay on Bilibili? I think so. We're finding out. Hassan, don't show other platforms logo on Bilibili. I'm not. There's a new Boy vid as well, from what I understand. Gaming will not be taking place tonight. Most likely not. Especially because I will be doing Charlie Kirky of you has 800,000 views on TikTok. Ain't no way, brother. Shot in the neck here as well, where you can click. Oh, he's dead. Oh my God, he's definitely dead. Oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, he definitely got shot in the neck. Oh my God, he gets shot in the neck, blood pouring out of his jugular, like an unimaginable amount of blood. Okay, to be fair, you know, can I be a little distraught? Can a white boy be a little distraught watching someone who literally does the same job that he does, someone who he was supposed to debate in 2 weeks, get shot in the fucking neck? Can I be? It's not like I turned around and was like, Charlie Kirk's doing politics the right way. Everybody calm down. You know? It's not like I was crying tears and being like, oh my God, Charlie Kirk was such an incredible figure. I very quickly was like, hey, you know, getting shot aside, not a good guy, okay? So everybody calm down. You took off your glasses. Yeah, also, can I say, everybody grieves in different ways, okay? Everybody grieves in different ways. Charlie Kirk, everybody grieves in different ways. This is how I'm grieving. So I don't know why you guys are making fun of me for grieving this way, okay? Trump giving Kirk to Bubba or something. Like it was, listen, before the Charlie Kirk assassination, I used to say like, I don't really give a shit. If I die, I die. Who gives a fuck, right? But like after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I realized I can't. Joking about it in September was illegal 3 months and he hasn't said anything racist. I'm so happy for him. Joking about it in September was illegal. He was never sad about it. He was just shocked that he just saw someone he met several times die. The first couple hours were so funny. You could tell what version of the video people saw. If they were saying, I hope he's all right, let me out. To be fair, I always hated Charlie Kirk, but watching that video was horrifying. At least bro wasn't crying like Dean and saying he's going to side with the right. I'm already cooking memes in case you go out die anymore, because it's not about the friends and family you leave behind and how sad they will get, but it's about how embarrassing it will be. I'm already cooking memes in case you do go out. That's crazy, man. You guys, bro, you guys are, you need to be ride or die. You need to be defending me, not fucking playing into it. Not freaking playing into the haters of Charlie Kirk getting shot. Yeah. The big companies love you. Don't worry, Hassan. Oh yeah, they definitely do, man. I love these guys. My favorite type of person online is like Hassan is the ops. He's CIA. Big companies love him. Yeah, dude. They do. They love me so much. Famously, they're in love with me, actually. They love my commentary. They're always looking for a swagged out white boy who keeps saying American imperialism is unacceptable. America's the great villain. And that all these capitalist corporations are actually indecent, and they basically grab onto social justice initiatives as a marketing technique and cynically drop it at the first sign of the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction. Anyway, when you die, people will complain that your casket was too expensive. I know. That's why AT&T stopped you from getting a nomination of the Dream Awards. I mean, we don't know if that's what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I'm washed. I'm washed. That's why. AT&T definitely does not love me, though. But I think maybe me and AT&T were like this now. Who knows? Because I was on that red carpet, you know, rocking the Zhongshan suit. And it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy if they were still hating. You know what I mean? Because I was looking good as fuck on that red carpet with AT&T holding up the freaking AT&T. Hold on. Let me pull that up. Do you think there's any hope for you and AT&T? I think me and AT&T are about to make it big again. We're about to get back on good graces. Probably not. And I don't really give a shit, but you know. Wait, let me we blasted off, by the way, before I forget. It's a love-hate relationship. Yeah. AT&T's just playing hard to get. You know what I'm saying? They're just playing hard to get. They know they like me. Enemies to lovers arc, me and AT&T. At least one of the T's has to stand for terrorism. It does, but not in the way that you think it does. You know what I mean? It does. Just not in the way that you think it does, right? I think those people are coming from the BE community. Just made a video about Chomsky and he made a not so sneak this at you in the end. That dude can't just let go. I don't care. You and AT&T look so happy together. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. You see this? Look. I mean, what more do you need to see? We're best buds. We're best buds. Did someone say Chomsky sneak this you? No, we're not that brain rotted. Also, Chomsky is 954 years old, so I don't think he knows how to sneak this anybody at this point. No, I was, where is it? Oh, I was going to show you guys these. There's some banger ass photos, man. Look at this. Look at this. You can't even hate. AT&T can't even hate. If I'm looking like this on the red carpet, how are you going to hate? Palestine pin and all. So much of the controversy. So much of the controversy revolves around vibes, if we're being real. I think it's too buttoned up. Nah. AT&T saw me at a very Chinese point in my life and said, bet. Your pin was upside down in some photos? No, it's not. Yo, you need to get mad pins for this fit so you can pull up like Zhukov from Death of Stalin? No. I read the Austin show Sneaky Nuts to you during the award show. What does that even mean? BDBD chat is asking what AT&T is. It's a phone service provider that blacklisted me from appearing on any other streams that they sponsor for like the entire last year because of my commentary on Israel Palestine. But maybe we're good now. Who knows? I hope so. I would like to be back in the good graces of AT&T and our corporate overlords. And the reason why I say that is because specifically, I am an AT&T user myself. So it's really hurtful. It's a telecommunications company, one of the big, like 3, I guess. There's like, in America, we only have like a couple major internet service providers. AT&T is one of them. Sellout. Yeah, I'm selling out. I'm selling in. I'm selling out. I'm cashing in. You already know. Why didn't you get a pen for your education pocket? All right, anyway, we're moving on from that. We are going to talk about the Guardian piece that came out, first of all. Okay. This one's titled, I Love When My Enemies Hate Me. How Hassan Piker, by the way, not having the chat on the right side of the screen has given me so much freedom to just move around. Wee woo. Kind of like it. Another $20,000 in the drain. You already know. Paid for it again. Pay for it again. You already know. This one's titled, I Love When My Enemies Hate Me. How Hassan Piker became one of the biggest voices on the left, on the U.S. left. I was there the day chat died. You have a Windows update available? Shut up. This photo is so strange. I don't know why. I mean, the photographer was goated. We took photos all around the house, and he ended up going with this one, even though like I feel like my neck looks weird on this. Every day he broadcasts a marathon Twitch stream, airing his views to 3 million followers has led to fame and some fear in a country ever more politically divided. Hassan Piker calls it the bus driver test. Oh my God, he came in hot with the bus driver test, chat. The bus driver test is making it mainstream. The bus driver test is about to hit mainstream. Are you seeing this? Even Ethnic Santa's got. Ethnic Santa is excited. He's dancing. He's like, yep, that's right. The bus driver test is making it mainstream. It's making it big. We love it. Hassan Piker calls it the bus driver test. You get on a bus and you have 30 seconds to explain whatever online phenomena took place to the bus driver without them looking at you and going, get off the fucking bus. Most online discourse, no matter how heated, fails the test, he says. Not least an incident last weekend when someone on a Dublin street asked to take a picture with Piker, then held up a picture of his dog and shouted, free Kaya. Never mind the bus driver trying to explain the significance of this particular event. Might well take the rest of this article, but the wider point is that there is a jarring overlap, or more often, disconnect between the online and offline worlds. Oh, speaking of the guy who did that, apparently that's like an Irish nationalist, like right-winger, for the record. Yeah. It turns out he's like an Irish influencer. Yeah, they my subreddit actually tracked it down and found him. And he's like a West Brit. Like he is no, not like a Irish nationalist, like sorry. No. Not an Irish nationalist, like a far right nationalist in Ireland that is a West Brit. Who's like a queen cucked. He's a white nationalist, a unionist. I'm using the term white nationalist in like the way we do in America. So technically he is a unionist. He's the one who also self-edited the video. He's the one who literally self-edited his own fucking video, dude. Isn't that crazy? That you know how we were like, oh, where did this video come from? Where they fucking edited it, okay? It was him. It's this guy, Keith Woods, I think. You know how like he muted this part? He muted the part where I say, hey, nice to meet you. And he responds with, nice to meet you too, man. Yeah, he muted his own damn fucking... He went in. He did this thing, and then he fucking muted the part of the video where I'm like super cordial with him because he was embarrassed.
Yeah. Please. I don't have my phone with me. Can we just
do screen photo?
Here. Yeah. Right. Free Kaya. Free Kaya.
Yeah, notice how the entire video goes silent for a second. So you lied. It was actually, in fact, not nice to meet him. No, it's always nice to meet fans. I should have signed his fucking, I should have signed his poster. He got it straight up put on a canvas, dude. Who has the OG video? Yeah, here's the trembling stream sniper. The trembling stream sniper was Keith O'Brien, who goes by Keith Woods online. He was wearing the same jacket during his reporting of the violent protests of the former City West Hotel. His face is easily identifiable as the coward behind the mask. He also made an unsubtle post about the interaction. Hassan is visiting Ireland. Some interesting interactions so far. He is a great replacement, race realist, far-right influencer with views so abhorrent. He's been banned from many platforms and was too odious for the National Party. These are the type of people promoting the shock collar's mirror to try to delegitimize Hassan in the eyes of gullible and willfully ignorant people on social media. If you know more about Keith, Hope and Courage Collective, HNCC, has a recent report about him called Plastic Patriots. Because this was the OG clip.
I don't have my phone with me. Can we just
do screen photo?
Here. Yeah. Right. Free Kaya. Free Kaya.
Nice to meet you, man.
I go, nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. And I laugh it off. And this motherfucker was so embarrassed by his reaction. He was so embarrassed by the fact that he hit the, it's like when you tell, he had a, I accidentally told the waiter I love you moment. You know what I mean? Like an anxious guy, Mr. socially maladjusted, anxious, nervous guy, nervous Nelly. Yeah. Like when you tell the waiter, when the waiter says, when you call your teacher mom, or when your waiter says, have a nice dinner, and you turn around and say, you too. Yeah. And it's so funny because he edited it this way to make, and then all the dumb fucks were like, he was rendered speechless. Yeah, I was so speechless the entire fucking video got muted, actually.
Jesus, I'll tell you what, the power of social media. Guts.
He wanted you to get mad so bad. Yeah, I know. And it didn't work. So he had to fucking manipulate it. And it still didn't work. Especially because this interaction. So I was talking to the Guardian reporter, right? About this exact interaction. And he didn't get the reaction he wanted. But it was also, I mean, Lorcan is a normie, right? This is how normies react to this shit. Lorcan was like, wow, you have so many fans. like he has no idea what the fuck's going on. And all of the people online, I think it's a really, I think for like this interaction in and of itself, okay, this interaction in and of itself is a perfect demonstration of how you can just like manipulate people on the internet to feel a certain type of way about an incident that they literally saw with their own two eyes and heard, right? Just a little bit of fucking, just a shitty edit where you just mute the part, like where you mute a certain part to make it seem like it wasn't, to make it seem like it's not cordial or I was rendered speechless. And that's all it takes. And yet, there's enough context clues in this incident in and of itself to show you that it didn't go down the way he wanted it to. And yet he still chose to manipulate the footage, and people still chose to run. People still ran with the manipulated footage and the manipulated framing in an effort to... İstemiyorum, yok. Ben kendim alırım. Yapmana gerek yok. So there are two separate realities now, is what I mean. A lot of people assume, oh, I can see something, I can hear something, so I actually have all the context necessary. And yet that's not the case. And even then, what's something like... This is a perfect demonstration of the unreality, the alternative reality that you can lean into in the on the extremely online spheres, as opposed to the real world, right? I think it's a very fascinating phenomena. Yeah, LSF did the same thing about when I was at the Zoran election party, like similar thing, where people will just be like, where people can just like manipulate things and rob it of its context and frame it in a very cynical way, where I could be at the Zoran rally with all these people, do all these interviews, and people could still be like, Zoran actually hates Hassan. He actually kicked him out, right? And it's a very interesting phenomena.
Nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Jesus, I'll tell you what.
But even the rest of the video shows like, he has no, like, normies don't have any fucking understanding of this. They don't realize this at all.
Power of social media.
Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. Yeah, this is the guy. YouTube is monetizing and helping raise funds for Keith Woods, a white nationalist and self-described raging anti-Semite. Woods has also raised tens of thousands of dollars for the crowd on the crowdfunding platform Buy Me a Coffee. So that's the guy that Ethan Klein was posting about, getting really stoked on. But that's not the first, nor will it be the last raging anti-Semite that my former podcast co-host, who is also Jewish and seemingly on a conquest to eradicate anti-Semitism on the internet, will highlight and platform. All right, let's get back to the article, though. The reason why I brought this up is not because of not because I want to relitigate this moment, but I think it's a very interesting phenomena where, you know, the bus driver test is an abject failure when you try to explain it to the bus driver. Never mind the bus driver trying to explain the significance of this particular event might well take the rest of this article, but the wider point is that there is a jarring overlap, or more often disconnect, between the online and offline worlds. Piker finds himself in this in-between space more and more these days. Until fairly recently, the 34-year-old was familiar only to the very online, especially Americans in their 20s and 30s, largely thanks to his presence on the streaming channel Twitch, where he has 3 million followers. But since Donald Trump's election, Piker has become an in-demand voice in the real world for his views on the beleaguered political left, and especially that inordinately fretted over demographic, young men. Predictably, this also makes Piker a favorite hate figure on the political right. To his enemies, there's plenty to dislike: his outspoken political views, his Turkish Muslim background, his allegiances with progressive politicians such as Zoran Mamdani, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, all of whom have appeared on his show. But they also hate the fact that Piker, tall, muscular, fashionable, and handsome, is far too alpha to fit the lefty stereotypes. He has not been afraid to leverage his henchness in shirtless, sometimes even trouserless magazine photo shoots or selfies on his socials, generating articles such as 30 sexy pics of Hassan Piker that prove the only thing that is hotter than his takes is his bod. He's regularly called things such as the Joe Rogan of the left, yawn, or the AOC of Twitch, or a himbo gateway drug to leftist thought, none of which quite captures him. I'll be honest, I had no idea that this is what I was going to be doing, says Piker from his Los Angeles studio. Like, if someone were to ask me, did you ever think that you become a Twitch streamer? I'd be like, what is Twitch? The concept of a YouTube influencer didn't even exist when I was growing up. It's the morning, and he's preparing to start his daily 11 a.m. show. He usually broadcasts live for 7 or 8 hours straight, talking off the cuff about current affairs, lifestyle choices, what he's up to, playing video games, reacting to memes and media clips, and interacting with the constant stream of messages that scroll by in the top left corner of the screen. It's a communal experience, a good hang, you might say. It also sounds exhausting. He has estimated that in 2020, he spent 42% of the entire year live streaming. I've lowered it to 7 hours a day, but sometimes I still do 8. And on top of that, I'll take Sundays off now. He's already running late this morning. As we continue talking, his Twitch chatter begins to fill with "where the hell is he" posts. Yeah, offliners, you got to mention in this as well, as always. Establishing himself on Twitch, which is primarily a platform for live streaming video games and has been owned by Amazon since 2014, was a conscious decision, Piker says. His media career started out with the Young Turks, the progressive online news network co-founded by his maternal uncle, Cenk Uygur. Piker's parents are Turkish immigrants, and he grew up between New Jersey and Istanbul before studying political science and communication studies at Rutgers University. He graduated to hosting his own show in the Young Turks 2016, earning the title Woke Bay in the process, but in 2018 he decided to go solo on Twitch to counterbalance what he saw as the overwhelmingly right-wing, often racist, misogynistic, and xenophobic views that infested the space. There's a lot of ideological diversity amongst the gamers, amongst the developers, amongst the consumers, but unfortunately the market for political expression in this hobby is so heavily dominated by the right, and that's the same for pretty much everything, he says. Physical fitness, for example. It's now assumed that any young male who goes to the gym is likely to end up in the thrall to Andrew Tate and other manosphere bros. This creates this weird attitude where a lot of liberal or progressive people look to these spaces and think, why is everyone such a right-winger, he says. And I don't think that's the case. It's just that is what it looks like on the internet. This is the problem with the American left in general, says Piker. They've conceded so many cultural spaces to the right. You still have to market your ideas, but they just completely gave up on all notion of marketing or branding. They think these are bourgeois concepts, but unfortunately, it's actually doubly important to try and engage people and try to make these sorts of politics more appealing, because there's a century of anti-socialist thought that is deeply baked into the American collective consciousness, whether it be Red Scare propaganda or the modern version of that, which has become basically telling children sharing is caring is actually communism. Piker is consistently critical of the Trump administration on his show, especially its foreign and immigration policies. But he is no loyal Democrat. Even before the 2024 presidential election, Piker was not optimistic about their prospects, bemoaning how little Kamala Harris and the Democrats were really offering, how they were losing young men, and how much better organized the Trump campaign was online. His own politics are broadly social democrat and empathy first, he explains. My position is actually the normal position in most of the world, but it's like a very abnormal position that many Americans have not encountered. One of the dangers of Piker's type of relaxed, relatable, long-form commentary is that he'll occasionally go too far, which gives his opponents ammunition. He's been suspended from Twitch 4 times for perceived offensive content, including once for calling a white person a cracker. Most notoriously in 2019, in the context of a broader critique of American foreign policy, he said that America deserved 9/11, a comment that was seized upon by Fox News and other outlets. Piker later apologized and said the language was inappropriate, but the Muslim Communist Terrorist Association has never gone away. The 9/11 comment resurfaced earlier this year during the New York mayoral race, for instance, as a part of an attack ad against Mamdani, of whom Piker was an early supporter. Likewise, Piker's vocal support for Palestinians and the condemnation of Israel and Zionism have led to accusations of anti-Semitism. Piker says he has never criticized Jewish people. He has also been ridiculed for expressing admiration for China after a trip there last month. Regardless of his flaws and repressive attitudes towards certain groups or whatnot, they have done a phenomenal achievement in greatly improving the material conditions of the average Chinese person, he tells me. Piker isn't particularly fazed by any of this, it seems. I have no issues getting vilified by people on the right. I love when my enemies hate me, he says. It is what it is. They talk shit. What are you gonna do? The hate constantly threatens to spill offline, however. In May, Piker was detained for 2 hours by U.S. border agents on his return from France. He is an American citizen. They questioned him about his views on Trump and Gaza before letting him go, he said. I think they did it because they know who the fuck I am, and they wanted to put the fear of God into me. In September, the Trump ally Laura Loomer posted on X, hopefully today President Trump can negotiate the permanent deportation of Hassan Piker back to Turkey. It's time for him to go home. Piker's reply was succinct. I was born here, dumbass. Yeah, this is the photo. Offline chat gets a mention in this one too. These levels of enmity help explain the Free Kai incident in Dublin, which may not pass the bus driver test, but illustrates the weirdness of Piker's offline/online reality. It started with a Twitch stream Piker did in October, during which his dog Kai, who was often seen sleeping in the background, suddenly yelped just as Piker was doing something with his hand off camera. Conspiracy theorists swiftly concluded that Piker was activating a shock collar on the dog and that he was therefore a cruel and terrible human being. In reality, Piker explained Kai had clipped her foot on something while he happened to be reaching for a can of Zyn nicotine pouches. He held up the dog collar for inspection on camera. This didn't stop his opponents piling on, combing through previous streams in search of evidence of animal cruelty and making Collargate a meme. Even people for the ethical treatment of animals, PETA, put out a statement. Hassan Piker has denied using a shock collar on his dog, and we hope that's true. Hence the ambush by a random person in Dublin. Piker took that encounter in his stride. People recognize him in the street all the time. He just said, nice to meet you, and nothing else happened. Online, though, the encounter was clipped from his live stream and disseminated with Piker's nice to meet you reply edited out. They wanted to make it look like I was, like, shocked, devastated, right? And it didn't even happen in the real world. So they had to manipulate the footage. Even if it fails the bus driver test, this kind of online outrage is constantly being manufactured, amplified, fed into the anti-Piker feedback loop. Even us having this conversation is probably going to lead to other people going, oh, we got one on him. He's very shaken by this, so we should do it again. This is the evidence between the offline and online worlds in a nutshell. He says, it's very difficult to maintain a very negative energy in the real world without coming across as hysterical and odd. Interactions on the internet actually create this environment where you can be as hostile as you want, as ruthless as you want. But in the real world, if you behave like that, most people look at you and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? That encounter was relatively low stakes because it happened in Ireland, where Piker was receiving an award from Trinity College. In the US, he feels less safe. The assassination of Charlie Kirk in September was a shocking example of where this online hate can now end up. Piker and Kirk were kind of contemporaries, mirror images even. The two had debated each other on stage in the past and were set to do so again in 2 weeks' time when Kirk was shot at an outdoor event at Utah Valley University. Piker watched the event unfold in real time on his live stream, his reaction turning from disbelief to horror as his followers sent him updates and video clips, which he did not broadcast. Piker still does real life live streams in the US. I can't let fear guide my life. I've gotten death threats for the last 12 years. It certainly peaked during the Charlie Kirk stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just an unfortunate consequence of being in this space. Unhealthy parasocial relationships come with the territory he accepts, and they can very quickly turn around and create very unhealthy stalker-style relationships. The love can turn into hate very quickly. Is there a way to cultivate healthy parasocial relationships then? I try to direct people back to doing stuff in the real world, like organizing. Just being around other human beings and communicating with them is profoundly important. I can't believe this is something that we even have to talk about. Does he practice what he preaches? The guy who spends all day broadcasting from his room. I'm broadcasting 8 hours a day. You're absolutely right, he says. And yet, every moment that I'm not online, I'm out in the real world. I do not shy away from going outside, going to third spaces, whether it be public parks, constantly engaging with my normie friends, people that don't even have Instagram accounts. That's how I try to stay as grounded as possible. He has many allies and friends in the streaming world too, but largely he keeps his offline life strictly private. Having been so prescient about the 2024 election, how does Piker feel about the next few years in U.S. politics? Things change quite rapidly, but if you look at the avenues where there is some semblance of hope, it's the left candidates that are actually really galvanizing the public, he says. He's talking about the progressive left flank, Mamdani, AOC, Omar, his own generation. We have to lean into that because I feel like it's a matter of life and death at this point. Like the death of democracy. So if the Democrats continue getting in the way of the left flank candidate, I foresee the political environment turning really, really dark. It already has, but it's going to most likely get worse. So I will do everything in my power to try and avoid that alternative. The American left could arguably do with someone like Piker. Someone who's genuine, incisive, a skilled communicator with a loyal fan base, and easy on the eye. But it doesn't sound as if Piker is tempted. He makes the occasional appearance on panel discussions, podcasts, and even television, but he's not tempted any further into traditional media, he says, partly because he wouldn't enjoy the levels of editorial control, but also because the audience is moving in my direction and away from legacy publishers. Unless things radically change, he has no plans to do anything different, he says. I'm just taking everything one day at a time. Perhaps he's more useful where he is, fighting it out, cutting through, in what, to many, is hostile or alien territory. But on top of that, he still clearly enjoys it. I find a lot of emotional fulfillment in what I do. As he's talking, he's got one eye on the clock in his message feed. It's nearly 11:30. Right now, my offline chat is freaking out that I'm not live yet. Another marathon live stream awaits, and he's itching to get started. Boom. Great article. Another $20,000, another 20 grand in the books, you know? What a great low IQ article. Yeah, dude, one day your favorite content creator is going to get this, get a really good high IQ article and you can celebrate it. This one was a lot better than most. I love the quote in the headline. Puff Piece PR for the win. Yeah. 20,000 quid. Nice. A bit of a puff piece. I mean, yeah, I think they're profiling people who are doing political commentary. That's why they did it on me. I don't know. But bus driver test. Remember Hassan's rule. Online shit isn't real if it doesn't pass the bus driver test. I genuinely don't think I could explain this recent controversy to other chronically online people, much less a bus driver, so I don't think this is actually very tangible drama. Just my 2 cents if you can't stop doom scrolling about Ethan. I am a transit bus driver and chronically online. There's a bus driver shift coming. We need a new meta. Anyway, it's weird that the flex changed from I'm bigger than you to I'm bigger than the guy you wish you were. Who's flex? I don't even know what you mean by that. Hey man, I don't want to come after you, and I won't deny that this question was inspired by the recent Chomsky video by a certain Greek who I understand is a bit of a sore spot. However, the recent mainstream coverage you have been getting, especially from The Guardian, which is a centrist newspaper, has me wondering why these outlets let you on their platforms. This puzzles me, especially when I examine from a Chomskyan lens. Do you think it's genuinely that they are cataloging political commentators? No, it's because I'm a sheepdog for the Democratic Party, and I'm safe. Wait, what is this? Hold on 1 second. I have to text the group chat. I'm serious. I mean, you think you might, I mean, that might be a sincere question. That might be a sincere question, but it doesn't necessarily, it might be a sincere question, but it doesn't mean that it's like a valid one or a legitimate one. I think at this stage, if I'm thinking about this critically, I think at this stage, they're just so far behind on understanding the internet and understanding where, you know, culture has shifted so dramatically that they're just profiling whoever the fuck they can. And that's precisely the reason why you see profiles on like Nick Fuentes too. Okay? Because as far as sore subjects or you know, untouchable pariahs, I mean, he was like anyone with his repugnant views on anti-Semitism, not Israel, but like even Israel as well, because I wouldn't say like, you know, being anti-Israel is a repugnant viewpoint, but his views on Jews in general, like organized Jewry, international Jewry, that sort of stuff was just like a non-starter. People just wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And I think the reason why people are even going so far as to cover that sort of stuff is because they're so far behind in terms of understanding culture, where people are organizing, where people are mobilizing, which happens to be the internet, that, you know, they have no way of I mean, they're just doing it to everybody. Also, you have to remember, regardless of well, one, I have a big audience, right? That's number one. So that's fascinating for a lot of people in the media whose audience sizes are shrinking. Number two, so they obviously, going back to number one, they obviously have to figure out, like, why does this guy have such a big audience? What is he doing with his audience? All that stuff, and teach it to the boomers. And the second reason is because I also do have like-minded individuals in the media. Like, there are a lot of journalists in this chat at any given moment. I don't think you guys, like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, half of these profiles that are written by people who have spent a decent amount of time in this community. Okay? So what's actually shocking to me, I would say, is not necessarily that I get profiled, because I have gotten those profiles even at my most like politically unsavory moments. Okay? Because back then I think it was more so just like people trying to do their people trying to sneak in like their own personal positions on Israel. That's like very different than the newspaper's position on Israel by giving me like a puff piece, but then trying to sneak that in as like he's hot and he knows how to talk to young men, right? Rather than actually address my points of view. What's unique now, I think, is that they're actually moving in that direction where they are factoring in my politics and what I say into the conversation. That's new. And I think I don't have proof for this, but my suspicion is I think what changed was the Vanity Fair piece. That was the first time, or not Vanity Fair, Variety. Fuck, I keep saying Vanity Fair. There was a Vanity Fair piece as well, but it was the Variety piece. It was the Zoran victory, and it was the Variety piece where they just straight up put all of my politics in the article, and it went fucking crazy. Like it did really well. And I think now people are easy to mix it up when they're all 20K. Yeah, exactly. I'm not American, and the media in my country would never touch someone like you outside of those. They are obligated by law to report on, like the local Communist Party. Okay, well then there you go. You have your answer as to why you're confused. I will say, I think what's interesting about this, like I said, is the fact that they are no longer just like sneaking me into the discourse or offering some sneaky coverage on like things that I've said, or, you know, whatever, not things that I've said, but like who I am and what my appeal is, as they try to identify how I'm able to communicate with young men or whatever. But instead, now they're actually talking about my politics, my worldview. And I think that's because the attitude is shifting in our direction in mainstream media. Like I said in the Guardian profile, people are starting to recognize that like left politics is very popular and it has a real grassroots backing. They're trying to dull that message to the best of their ability by saying, oh, it's just affordability. It's just affordability. Just say you care about affordability and move on. But I think left politics now in America is becoming more and more a part of the forefront of the conversation. Anyway, and yes, Bilibili audience, this is being streamed live in real time to both Twitch and also to Bilibili. I'm dual casting. I understand 20K is a meme, but do you need to pay some amount for these articles, or do you need to be a disclaimer in the article? No, I don't pay for any of these fucking articles. What are you, crazy? No. These are like real newspapers, chat. I don't even have a fucking PR team or a PR person at all. How the fuck could how could a PR person actually do PR for someone like myself? Anyway, explain the minus 20K memes to the netizens. Oh yeah, that's because some of my haters are so butthurt that they've tried to like take me down over and over again by smearing me. And in order to cope with the reality that I'm still a relatively popular person, both on the internet and also in the adult space where people congregate, and in newspapers and whatnot, when they write like positive articles, they try to say, oh, he's paying for it. He must have a PR team. It is what it is. We laugh about it. We joke about it ourselves and say, yes, we are paying $20,000 is true for every single article.
Hi, Brad.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Brad Lander is running.
This community means everything to me.
It's where Meg and I raised Marek and Rosa, and where we've worked together for years to make life better for our neighbors.
Brad rooted out waste and corruption.
Divested billions in fossil fuels.
built housing New Yorkers can afford.
Saved 50,000 families from being kicked out of their homes.
When Donald Trump and Elon Musk tried to steal $80 million from New York City.
Brad caught it.
And when ICE agents started kidnapping our neighbors, I fought back.
You're fighting, Brad.
Take a look at this video. It's Brad Lander being arrested by ICE.
I've always believed that you fight for the things you love. And I love this city. I love the streets where I walked my kids to school, the public schools that nurtured their curiosity, the fields in Prospect Park where I coached them.
I'm not going to be sold on Brad, but if he wins, I don't care too much. I like Brad Lander. Like I said before, in the absence of Zohran Mamdani, in that primary, in that crowded primary for New York mayor, I would have probably gravitated towards him. Like, it's just he has a lot of good qualities. And before people say he's a literal October 7 Lieber, brother, I think you need to understand. I think you need to understand a couple different things, okay? And yes, I know that everyone, especially this community, is going to get fucking very mad about this. But you are forgetting what he did as a Jewish human shield for Zohran Mamdani in the primary. Okay? Like, you're crazy. He did what Elizabeth Warren did not do. And not only that, but as the fucking comptroller in New York City, he literally divested New York City from Israel bonds. So what the fuck are you talking about? This is a real don't make perfect the enemy of the good type of situation, because given the confines of like permissibility in American politics, he absolutely has been pushing the fucking needle in the appropriate direction, regardless of his own limitations and his own ideology. If he wasn't doing shit like that, then yeah, you would have a little bit more room to complain. And it would be valid. And it's still valid to a certain degree to apply a level of scrutiny. But ultimately, this is like, if every liberal Zionist is going to be invested in divesting from Israeli bonds, then, who gives a shit?
Little League games. But most of all, I love the people who make this city what it is.
Did you see his Twitter account was hacked shortly after you posted this vid? Yeah, I did. So, couple things, okay? Couple things. He is running to unseat a horrible representative, okay? So you have to also match it against like who he's going up against. You also have to match it up against who the other people are, okay? New York 10, the seat New York 10, the 10th district, is currently occupied by Daniel Goldman, okay? Dan Goldman. Now, there is some, hate to be this guy, but your setup is still in dispatch mode. Wait, no, it's not. You mean like my thing is in the top right corner? Yeah, it's because I don't have a chat on because I'm dual casting the Bilibili as well. And also because if I put it in the top, in the bottom right, it overrides the subtitles. Yes. Yeah. Dan Goldman Sachs Goldman. Dan Goldman is among the wealthiest members of Congress with an estimated personal net worth of up to $253 million. I mean, he's absolutely horrible. I actually kind of dig not having chat on screen. I'm going to be honest with you. Is that messed up? I feel like chat, as much as I love my community, as much as I love my chat, and I'm still monitoring it, they do get in the way quite a bit as far as like derailing. I feel like this is one of those moments as well. But in any case, as I was saying, this Santa is going crazy. I feel like the motion detector extended for some reason. I don't know what happened, because it was not moving before as much. And now it's just moving nonstop, bro. He's just constantly, he loves Brad Lander. He is dancing his ass off. He's jiggling nonstop. You are not Candace. Put chat on, please. Anyway, so Yeah, Brad Lander is running.
Now to voters decide. Tonight, New York City Controller Brad Lander officially kicked off his congressional campaign. It appears to be part of a wider progressive effort to build on the momentum of Zohran Mamdani's election victory. Andrew Ramos has the story from Brooklyn.
Comptroller Brad Lander is setting his sights on a new job, running for Congress in New York's 10th District. Announcing to a packed crowd at the Nighthawk Cinema Theater in Park Slope, he will fight, not fold, embracing what he called Mr. Rogers energy.
But a Mr. Rogers that stands up and fights ICE, and fights Trump, and fights Musk, and fights kleptocrats, and fights AIPAC, and says this is our...
Can they take out Goldman is the question I have. Oh, yeah. No, he's going to fucking, I think he's going to cook. I think he's going to clear Dan Goldman. Not even a question. I mean, this community's excitement about Brad Lander is utterly irrelevant, you know, in the New York race. Like, if we're being real, I think he's going to rip him. I think he is going to dog walk Dan Goldman.
Lander would first need to unseat fellow Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman, highlighting the one of many issues he says that sets them apart.
Dan Goldman.
But only I, of the two of us, recognize that Netanyahu's leveling of schools and hospitals and the destruction of Gaza was a war crime.
In recent months,
Brad Lander isn't DSA, right? No, he left DSA after October 7. There's no official confirmation that he left because of October 7, but he did leave around that time. But he was a lifelong DSA guy. It's true. Is he running against a DSA candidate? No. So there was going to potentially be a DSA candidate running in this district. Okay. There was a DSA endorsement that had been given to a candidate. But of course, after Brad Lander ran or announced that he was running, and then Zohran also endorsed him instantly, insta-locked the endorsement, and he secured all of the big players in New York around him. Given his long, extensive career in New York politics, Alexa Aviez, who had actually gotten the DSA endorsement, who hadn't actually officially announced that she was running, who is a New York City Council member from District 38, said that she's not running. In recent weeks, I've received an outpouring of support from community members encouraging me to run for Congress. My neighbors know that the era of dark money and politics of letting AIPAC and the real estate lobby call the shots must end. They know we need a real fighter to take on Donald Trump's violent mass deportation agenda. I'm so grateful that many in my community called on me to run. However, after the conversations I had with my family and movement, I have decided that there is far too much to be done at home in Brooklyn and at City Hall. As a council member, I've been leading the fight to protect immigrant New Yorkers, building a greener, livable future and deeply affordable housing. We have an affordability agenda to win at home in Brooklyn. What's clear from my years in public service is that Dan Goldman has fundamentally failed our communities. A split field runs too great a risk of allowing him another damaging term. I'm not done taking on the corporate powers that have destroyed our city and country, but I've decided that my best use of energy is not running for Congress in New York 10. Thank you to my comrades in New York City DSA. The fight for a dignified city has only just begun. Palante. Councilmember Alexa Aviez. Bilibili stream is down again? Huh. I wonder why. Let's see. Maybe it's politics. And if that's the case, then we just don't stream. Let's see. It could be because I'm showing like Twitter and stuff. And if that's the case, then we just won't. If if they have issues with like showing Twitter, yeah. If they have issues with like showing you know, other like foreign websites and stuff like that, like specifically Twitter, then, you know, GG's, then I can't. Oh, showing. Bro, she got Mamdani. Can't make change too radical. Got to be way too pragmatic. Definitely would keep up the momentum. Why are you capitulating to government censorship? Capitulating to government censorship? It's a fucking social media platform. And it's not a capitulation. Like, what do you mean? You know, every social media platform has rules. Some of them are dumb. Some of them I don't personally agree with. You know, you're on Twitch, right? Right now, a platform that basically censored the term Zionist at the behest of the ADL. What should I do? Brute force it? What should I do? You just make do and you fucking play ball. But yeah, we won't be. Why aren't you brute forcing your way through the platform TAS? Why are you always allowing yourself to get banned? It's not even a ban. I think they just like the admin will, the admin takes the stream off. It is what it is. All right, we'll stop that destination. Hopefully it won't brick the stream at all, but boom, disabled. Okay, it's just us now. Anyway, where was I? This was the smartest thing to do for Lander in terms of next steps. Too many candidates saw New York 12 as an open ticket layup, turning into a clown car. Now Goldman looks weak as hell and no one wanted to take a swing until now. Show us on the stream again, Unc? No, I kind of like the no chat on stream meta. Regardless, even though we're not streaming on BDBD any longer. No disrespect, but not seeing you guys is kind of good. I do feel like not seeing you guys on screen is kind of good for my mental. And I think partially when you're not seen on screen, you don't act out as much, you know? Because when you're seen on screen, I think something happens in the chatters' minds where they're like, ooh, this is my opportunity to shine. I'm still pulling up chat messages, but I do think that not having you on screen 24/7 does something to your brain where you're like this improved the quality of chat messages by quite a bit. I feel like it improved the quality of the chat messages because people are like, well, it's harder to get his attention now because I can't be on screen all the time. So I feel like I have to really put out like an impactful statement, a good statement. Think before you tweet type shit. I feel like I've lost a mirror in which to watch my reflection in life. Anyway, yeah, get humbled. So, yeah, as far as Brad Lander goes, I'm happy for this. I'm happy for this announcement. I think that Alexa would have been fantastic as well. And there was definitely some wheeling and dealing behind the scenes, it seems, because Brad Lander was, I guess there was like some kind of, I don't know, like I don't know what the actual backdoor dealing happened in this instance, but I do think he's a good candidate for this seat. I think he's a good candidate for this seat. It seems DSA New York isn't happy about it. Yeah, that's understandable. I do think the less messy way to do this, I mean, look, paired up with the fact that Chi Ose got the chopping block personally from Big Z in order not to unseat Hakeem Jeffries, in order not to even take out Hakeem Jeffries. And the argument there was we can't exhaust our resources on this race when we have other races. And at the time, the other races that they were talking about, one of which was Alexa, right? One of which was supposed to be this one. Like, it's just like, it almost gives Zoran too much power over the DSA, which I don't personally like. But I'm not a part of New York City DSA, and he has been for much longer than I've even, I guess, or not much longer, but like around the same time that I started talking about DSA in general. So bro, this guy is fucking losing his mind. Top G and Keg W is not fun anymore. Put chat on. Please, man. Why not chat on screen? Chat on screen is part of your stream experience. Without chat on screen, it's like a YouTube video. Put bitty chat on screen at least. It's standard in Twitch to have chat on screen. Chat is what makes Twitch unique. Yes, I am. Brother, fucking calm down, dude. You are acting out. Facts to be fair. No, I know. You guys are all going to lose your minds. Okay. My man is tweaking.
Lander has become a firebrand for the progressive movement in New York City, which saw a jolt since the election victory of Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Lander is one of several progressive candidates looking to primary their fellow Democrats in the 2026 election cycle. Bronx Congressman Richie Torres also facing a challenge, while two other seats have vying to replace Manhattan's Jerry Nadler.
Big ones.
Brooklyn's Nydia Velázquez
who are both retiring, are up for grabs. Law professor J.C. Polanco.
If they were to win, they will just make the squad larger. And one of the dangers of having a larger squad is that you're going to have a situation in Washington where socialists are going to have a bigger voice and they're going to be tied to the Democratic Party.
A party that may
be what a dangerous prospect, dude. Yeah, no shit. That's the point.
Pivoting, according to Kai von Schroff, a senior advisor for the Institute for Education.
And he's one that I think actually really gave some good language to the idea that the party is looking for fighters, not folders, and he's one of them. So we'll see if he's able to win based on that.
In responding to Lander's run for Congress, Congressman Goldman said that he is proud of his progressive record in Congress and plans to deal with Brad as well as other challengers in the new year. Reporting in Park Slope, Andrew Ramos, CBS News, New York.
Yeah, this is where we're at, and it'll ruffle a lot of feathers. Let's be real. Of course, it already has. It's pissed off a lot of people. I personally think it's good. I think it's good. It's not the best, but I think it's good. It's not as bad as people are presenting it. Especially, by the way, it's Aviles, not Avies. Stop adding an L to it. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Aviles. I don't know, Lander. What are his cons? His cons are that he's not an anti-Zionist. He is what I would consider, I guess, like he is the best of liberal Zionism. A person that has actually used his political position and power to actively divest from Israeli bonds, and a person that actually, at a moment when it was more politically advantageous for him to fuck over an anti-Zionist candidate, actually stood by his side. It was obviously good for him as well, as you are seeing. But as far as his cons goes, those are some of his cons in general. It's mostly around Israel, honestly. I can't really think of, that was actually awful of you, King. You didn't just do this. What? Oh God. I'm seeing that people are, no, I would say he's even better than Bernie Sanders. He has said that he is anti-BDS as well. So most of the cons come from Israel. But even though most of his cons revolve around the issue of Israel, he is so far above the average American politician. He's gone so far above and beyond the average American politician that we're going through the minutia. Like under Brad Lander's management, New York City public pension funds have seen windfalls from investing in Elbit, the Israeli military's primary arms producer. The second biggest pension fund even bought new Elbit shares in the past year as the Gaza war raged. Like this right here, the revelation could be awkward for Lander as he runs against Representative Dan Goldman on a platform that includes sharp criticism of Goldman's support for Israel. Lander told he was simply doing his fiduciary duty by advancing the Elbit investments. Like that's actually a fucking serious red line. That's from Chris Sommerfeld, okay? Under comptroller Brad Lander's management, New York City's public pension funds have seen windfalls of investment from Israeli arms manufacturer. I thought you said he supported BDS? No. He has actively said he does not support BDS. He did actually divest pension funds from Israel, though. So the New York Post headline is false. I oppose and always have opposed divestment from Israel. Our pension funds are invested in many Israeli-owned companies, but he did do that. So this is the shortfall. This is the shortfall of being a liberal Zionist who's also actively doing the most with the limited political powers that he has. He has done more. He has done more as the New York City comptroller, while simultaneously saying he's never been anti-BDS. Yeah, here is Don commends New York City comptroller for ending investments in Israeli bonds. Any city comptroller should divest from Israel bonds and from companies that profit from or contribute to Israel's unlawful occupation and abuses, Don said in a letter today, the New York City comptroller Brad Lander. The letter commends the comptroller for ending the city's Israel bonds holdings and urges a review of remaining Israel-related investments to ensure compliance with international law, the UN guiding principles on business and human rights, and the city's ESG criteria. Like, I don't get that. Like, I don't get that position, though. I mean, yeah, because liberal Zionism is an oxymoronic ideology, okay? Because Zionism is a fascist ideology. So, of course, liberal Zionism is going to be inherently contradictory. And this is yet another one of those instances where that contradiction bears itself out, where you're like, oh, Israel's doing war crimes. You won't say, I don't even know if Brad Lander has called it a genocide or not. I think he probably has at this point. But this is the problem. Exactly. If you are not an anti-Zionist, if you are a self-described liberal Zionist, okay, but you are also simultaneously divesting from certain Israeli investments as the city comptroller, you are going literally above and beyond. You are going above and beyond, far more consequential in New York City than any other city in America. And also, you have done more to advance this cause than other comptrollers have in other in other cities. I mean, we're not even comparing him to Dan Goldman in this regard. We're just comparing him to like the average city comptroller. So it places me in this unique position as well, where like on the one hand, I think this is a good step in the right direction and there is far more that must be done. Okay. But also on the other hand, because of his liberal Zionist position, he's like over here being like, oh no, I oppose and always oppose divestments from Israel. He has called what Israel's doing a genocide, by the way. Nice. What happened to Megaphonics? He keeps tagging Hassan and spamming in the chat. Yeah, because he's not able to see himself in the chat. I do think that personally, as a representative, given his current positions as a representative, I think with his active defense of, bro, I'm trying to send you, he's using 2 different accounts now to get my fucking attention. Israel bonds is a specific investment, by the way. It's not a name for all investments in Israel. It's a specific thing from the state itself, which he divested from. So it's half true, half false. Yeah, I understand that. Calm down. This motherfucker he was spamming so hard, he got auto-modded for 300 seconds. And instead of waiting 300 seconds, he went in and logged in from the second account. Is he better than Jasmine Crockett? Are you kidding me? What kind of question is that? Yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Like, come on. This is what I'm saying. It's not a second account. It's a DJ account. It's a Twitch DJ program thing. Okay, I'm focusing on chat too much again. Anyway, when Comptroller Lander took office in 2022, the city's pension funds held nearly $40 million in Israel bonds. By early 2025, the city had sold off at least 1.17 through the police pension fund, fully eliminating its holdings. Just as New York City divested from apartheid South Africa in 1985, this decision represents a historic continuation of the city's role in upholding human rights through responsible financial choices. Dawn's letter to Comptroller Lander highlights how investment in Israel bonds directly finances Israel's military operations and ongoing human rights abuses in Gaza and the West Bank, with major credit agencies downgrading Israel's credit rating since October 7, 2023. These bonds also pose significant financial risks to pension beneficiaries. Continuing to hold or purchase Israel bonds, Dawn emphasized, would violate international law and fiduciary obligations. The letter also notes that Israel bonds expose the city to potential legal challenges. Similar lawsuits have already been filed in other states where residents argue that such politically motivated investments breach fiduciary duty and put public funds at risk. By divesting, New York City has avoided these legal pitfalls while reintroducing its global reputation as a leader in human rights and responsible governance. At the same time, Dawn urged the comptroller to review the city's remaining $315 million in other Israel-related investments, including stocks and real estate, and to ensure all public funds are aligned with international law and ethical standards. Ending support for companies complicit in Israel's occupation and apartheid regime would bring the city fully in line with its obligations under international law and its own investment principles. Like, understand that the situation is seen as so radical, even though it's not, right? Even though it's basically a step in the right direction towards human rights. The comptroller that is replacing him has immediately said that he is going to redo this decision. Okay. And there are a lot of people who are asking, like, I cannot understand how it's possible to recognize Israel for what it is so clearly and still be a Zionist. Confusing logic. And the Allah, peki. Están capordo. So the answer to that is a brain-breaking amount of social investment and brainwashing from an early age. That's it. We now live in a very different time culturally, a very different time in terms of our attitudes in general, a very different time with our attitudes in general, as far as our understanding and our association with Israel. Brad Lander does not come from that. Brad Lander did not learn about Israel post October 7. Do you understand? And as far as the old guard goes, if he hadn't done shit like this, you know what I mean? If he hadn't actively defended anti-Zionists and said that they're not anti-Semitic, I'd have a lot more smoke for him. I'd have a lot more skepticism for him, even though a lot of his other positions are actually pretty good. Do you understand? Because an election is not won on one issue regardless. Contrary to what my fucking naysayers consistently say, Hassan, you only care about one issue and that's Israel. I don't make this analysis when it comes to electoral politics, okay? Israel itself is a pretty good way to figure out whether or not a Democrat is sincere, or a pretty good way to figure out whether a politician is invested in actually winning or leaning into public sentiment, okay? But that in and of itself is not the ultimate marker of whether or not a politician is going to be a decent one. It's a litmus test, okay? This is something that I stress all the time, and maybe even people in my community misunderstand my position on this, okay? I guess it's ultimately not a bad thing that these are the conversations that people are having, because it shows me that the discourse has moved in such a dramatic fashion. Discourse has moved in such a dramatic fashion that you look to like a, relatively older Jewish guy who was the New York City comptroller who divested from certain Israeli investments. And you're still like, well, it's not far enough. It's true. It's true. It's not far enough. Clearly, his reinvestment into Elbit Systems calls into question whether or not he is sincere. But it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that you now have like Gavin Newsom saying, I will never take $1 from fucking AIPAC. And a lot of people bracket Brad Lander's position in a similar vein where they think like, oh, well, that, like with his background, with his knowledge, with his social conditioning, and with his actions in moments that mattered, right? In the New York City mayoral run, what he did as a comptroller, you still are like, no, this is the same as like Gavin Newsom's cynical attempt at leaning in the direction of popular sentiment by saying he hates AIPAC. All the while, there are still politicians who are running around saying Israel's our greatest fucking ally, like Jasmine Crockett, okay? Imagine telling 2021 Hassan everything which has transpired with the total collapse of Israel's PR and standing in the world and how many people are calling them out. Exactly. That's why it's like very difficult for me to feel hopeless at a time like this, It's cool. I'm glad that there are people upset about stuff like this. It's just not even a thing that I would have ever imagined hearing, even in this fucking community, you know what I mean? As a self-described liberal Zionist, Lander was at one point in his career more supportive of Israel. A decade ago, he and other local politicians visited the country, even as he faced protests for doing so from groups angered by Israel's treatment of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. Now, and for the record, if it wasn't for people like this, if it wasn't for people, ironically, like, pre-mayoral run Zoran, who also I would put into this category of like pro-Palestine activists, this attitude would have never changed in America. Okay? So you have to remember that. If it wasn't for the brave Palestinians, first and foremost, who showed the genocide that they were experiencing, and then people who highlighted that and made a much larger fuss about it in the Western world, like the conversation never would have moved. The needle would have never moved in this direction. These guys are saying this stuff about Israel because it's not popular opinion to support Israel. It's just politics. Do you feel vindicated for how culture has shifted on Israel? Yes, I do. Now Lander is honing his anti-war attack line against Goldman as he has already secured an endorsement for his campaign from incoming Mayor Zohran Mamdani, whose November election was boosted by a wide win in Goldman's Lower Manhattan and Brownstone, Brooklyn-based 10th Congressional District. A longtime critic of Israel's treatment of Palestinians, Mamdani has said he believes Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. Lander is among a few number of allies who could capitalize politically on embracing a similar stance, but the Elbit investments could complicate that. Why are people disliking him but liking Bernie, though? Are you kidding me? People in this community fucking hate Bernie Sanders. No. People in this community have more smoke for Bernie Sanders than I do. I mean, I'm very critical of Bernie Sanders' position on Israel, while I still recognize the space he occupies in American political discourse post-2016 primary run. But there are a lot of people who literally self-identified as socialists because of Bernie Sanders who now literally fucking act as though Bernie Sanders is the number one op, okay? There are plenty of people who do this in this community especially. Are you kidding me? And I also understand the cynicism from a lot of people, though, okay? Because there is still so much more work to be done. It's somewhat of a joke whenever I say, like, oh, it's not enough. It's not enough that, 30, 40% of people under the age of 35 want to remove all funds to Israel, remove all support to Israel. It's not enough. That's partially a joke, but it's also real. That means that there is still more work to be done. The pension fund's holdings in Elbit exceeded 1.5 million, the new records show. That's part of the roughly 300 million Lander's office has previously had the funds hold in total various Israeli companies. The records show the city's second largest fund, the Teachers Retirement System, which covers pension payments for public educators, controlled the biggest chunk of the city's Elbit stock, holding over $1 million in company shares as of his past June 30th, the most recent date for which detailed data is available. That marks a 268% increase over the just shy of 280,000 the TRS fund held in Elbit a year earlier on June 30th, 2024, disclosures show. About half of the increase between 2024 and 2025 can be attributed to the value of Elbit stock surging, but the remaining chunk of the TRS Elbit growth in that period came from purchase of new shares per the records. The comptroller is the custodian of the city's 5 pension funds and, with advice from the boards, executes investments. As of June 30th, 2021, the last disclosure from before Lander became comptroller in January 2022, the city's pension funds held less than 250,000 in Elbit stock total. So this directly contradicts any sort of anti-Israel initiative because Elbit's stocks went up because of the genocide. Elbit is an Israeli weapons manufacturer. So looking at that and saying, well, their stocks went up because Israel's doing a genocide, or even if your position is Israel's doing war crimes, right? Even if the liberal Zionist position is not to acknowledge that Israel's doing a genocide, even though it very clearly is doing a genocide, that is the UN position. That is just the unconditional position to take. That's not even a position at this point. It's just a reflection or a recognition of abject reality. On the other hand, you're still directly recognizing that genocide has actually improved the stock prices of an Israeli weapons manufacturer, and you think it's a wise investment to make. It's fucked up. The IDF has been accused of using Elbit weapons in strikes that have killed Palestinian civilians during the war in Gaza launched in response to Hamas' October 7 terror attack. Several European governments have divested from the arms producer in protest of its supplying of the IDF. Asked about the Elbit holdings in his interview with the News, Lander suggested the comptroller has very different responsibilities than a member of Congress, and that the pension fund investments must, by law, only be viewed through a fiduciary lens of securing maximum returns for city government retirees. It's still bullshit. You don't bring your politics to the job of investing for the pensioners' money, and I have not. He also argued, like, let's be real. There is a little bit of politics in that situation. There is. What I mean by this is if you didn't have as the comptroller, you do put the city funds at risk when you don't divest from Israeli stocks such as this one. You put the city potentially in legal trouble, right? So there is an argument that you can make to divest and to not increase funds in Elbit systems, right? So the notion that this is just a fiduciary responsibility is a little ridiculous. It's a cop-out. Still, the Elbit holdings highlight an issue Lander has struggled to find a clear lane on. During his unsuccessful mayoral campaign, Lander told the Progressive Group in early 2025 the pension funds weren't invested in any Israeli government bonds after being asked how he could, as comptroller, put pressure on Israel to end the war in Gaza. The funds at the time actually held more than $1 million in Israel bonds. Still, following Lander's claim, the group New York Progressive Action Network endorsed Lander's mayoral run. Speaking around the same time to Zev Brenner, an Orthodox Jewish radio host, Landers struck a different note as he affirmed he remains opposed to the boycott, divest, and sanction movement that calls for pulling money out of Israel over its government's treatment of Palestinians. In that appearance, he specifically touted the Elbit investments. The New York City pension funds are proudly invested in many Israeli-owned companies, tech companies like NICE Ltd., Elbit Systems, Mobileye, Teva Pharmaceutical, and no, of course, we're not going to divest from them, he said. Again, what is this? I feel like people are unproportionately holding politicians against the wall who are moving the needle in a positive direction when U.S. politics is a majority APAC. Aren't you always saying change happens slowly? I do say that. But also, you have to still call out inconsistencies. I mean, come on, chatter. This is a major inconsistency in the way that he has communicated on this issue. Also, this is still, at the end of the day, a primary race that's coming up. When can you criticize politicians, you know? It's just, the thing is, like I said, the biggest scrutiny to Brad Lander will still come from the Israel lane, even though overall he has, I think, done a bunch of things that he did not have to do that you know, played a role in Zoran winning, right? So having said that, this inconsistency is of course a significant one, but we haven't even talked about all of the other. Hold on, what the fuck is this? We haven't even talked about all of his other positions. I mean, he's great on ICE. He's great on defending immigrants. He's great on defending trans people. He's great on every other issue. Okay? That's just the truth. He's talked about also divesting from, I believe, BlackRock as well. Like, he's pretty good. He's as good as it's going to get for a left politician in the Democratic Party, especially when you compare someone like him to who he is slated to unseat, which is Dan Goldman, who is dog shit, right? Yes, I would say he is, in essence, a progressive through and through. He could literally just step aside and let someone else run who isn't an elderly Zionist. Okay, well, you don't get to fucking make these decisions. The reality is, you know, this decision has been made before we could have a say in it. Are you going to run? He's also not elderly. The fuck? He's fairly young for a politician in America, that by American standards. Like, what the fuck? In 2015, while serving as a city council member, Lander went to Israel with other lawmakers on an all-expenses-paid trip. At the time, Jewish Voice for Peace, a local group that backed Mamdani for mayor this year, had called on Lander and the other council members to cancel the visit, writing in a petition, "Do not neglect your official responsibilities toward diversity by touring an apartheid state." At other times, Lander has said he's not doing enough to push back on Israel. "I know I have not done enough to speak out against Israel's war crimes, against ethnic cleansing, against forced starvation of Palestinians," Lander said this September, while appearing alongside Mamdani at a Jews for Racial and Economic Justice event. A Goldman rep declined to comment on the Israeli pension fund investments under Lander. A spokeswoman for Mamdani, who endorsed Lander's congressional run in conjunction with his campaign launch, didn't return a request for comment. In any case, this will definitely come up quite a bit in his race. It certainly will. Also, matching his actions in 2015 to his current perspective is obviously silly. Now let's take a look. Do you agree with Zoran Mamdani? Mike Lawler grills Brad Lander on Mamdani's Israel
called
comment.
Yourself in 2016 a Brooklyn Jewish Democratic Socialist. And so my question to you is...
in that article, just to be clear.
My question to you is, what is your relationship with the Working Families Party of New York and the Democratic Socialists of America New York City chapter?
Of the Working Families Party, I am a member and a donor. Of the Democratic Socialists of America, I am not a member or a donor.
Do you support the DSA of New York City?
I'm not a member or a donor to the DSA of New York City.
There is a lot of overlap between the DSA of New York City and the WFP of New York. Do you support the work of the DSA of New York City?
And what is this, a fucking McCarthy commission? Like, what is happening? Is the McCarthy trials like, oh, have you, like, there's no reason to be fucking vague here. Just be like, yeah, I used to be a card-carrying DSA member. What of it? He should just be like, yeah, I'm still a card-carrying member of the DSA. Fuck it, in my heart, in my soul. Like, this kind of stuff is so strange because it is creating unnecessary tension around the term democratic socialist, is creating unnecessary tension that literally does not exist as it stands currently, especially in a place like New York. This is in September 10th, 2025. It's just like, it's not a thing. It's not a thing anymore. Okay. So I think it makes you look vague and somewhat cowardly when you try to dance around it, especially when you have called yourself a democratic socialist, and especially when you are a part of the DSA. Also, it's fucking Lawler. You could say whatever the fuck you want to Mike Lawler, and you would look good in comparison because it's Mike Lawler that you are talking to. Anyway, let's continue.
There are things they have proposed that I have supported, like raising the minimum wage, and there are things they have proposed that I do not support, like BDS.
Okay. So with respect to BDS, and I'm glad you brought that up.
So this is the reason why I'm like frustrated, because it gives more, obviously, like, if we're being real, although there is no official confirmation, is October 7 is the reason why he left the DSA, most likely. Okay. Because the timing of his departure from the DSA was right after October 7, 2023. That hasn't stopped him from aligning with the DSA. That hasn't stopped him from working with, DSA-backed candidates, including Zohran Mamdani. But having said that, and he has not rejoined, and his public position as an anti-BDS is silly, because someone like Brad Lander could play a major role in expanding the conversation on stuff like this. He is a prominent Jewish politician, okay, from New York. I mean, or lives in New York for what, like the last decade? I believe he's from Chicago originally. Like, it's just, there is no reason to concede on this stuff, especially at a time like this, when every single inch in the direction of positivity for any kind of fuck Israel sentiment or any kind of initiative like BDS is a good thing. And it might feel like you're taking a bold stance, but the reality of the matter is that bold stance will pay dividends in the same way that it did for Zohran.
The DSA of New York City just adopted.
Could someone define BDS? The BDS is boycott, divestments, and sanctions on the state of Israel, because Israel is an apartheid state that is doing a genocide. Okay. It's demanding boycotts for companies that financially support the Israeli occupation. It's demanding divestment from pension funds and funds like that actually support the Israeli government and the Israeli occupation and the continued apartheid structure. And it is a demand to push for sanctions on the state of Israel, which is an ethno-state that is, once again, an apartheid state doing a genocide. It is the same exact peaceful movement that played a formative role in forcing apartheid South Africa's hand into becoming a social pariah, becoming an international pariah, and basically dissolving the apartheid in South Africa. Okay? Not only is it directly protected under the First Amendment in the United States Constitution, okay? It is literally a First Amendment protected act to make these demands. The Israeli lobby, specifically AIPAC, has written bills in 37 states in the United States of America that has made it illegal to retain a job while simultaneously being an advocate for BDS. This is the most severe First Amendment violation in this country, and yet no one fucking talks about it. Rarely do you ever hear about it, okay? In a state like Texas, for example, if you want to be a public school teacher, you literally have to sign a loyalty pledge to say that you will never support boycotting Israel. You'll never support demanding divestments from Israeli funds. You will never support demanding sanctions from Israel if you want to have a fucking job. It is crazy. It is a direct violation of the First Amendment, and yet it continues in this country. Okay?
The resolution as part of this national convention. They want to expel members who do not comply with their extremist views, and specifically anyone who supports Israel's right to defend themselves. Do you oppose that position in their platform?
Yes.
Okay. Zohran Mamdani, who you support for mayor, is fully endorsed and embraced by the DSA of New York City. And in fact, just the other day,
maybe he's not conceding and simply just doesn't want BDS for Israel. No, he doesn't. And that's wrong. That's ridiculous. Okay? That's ridiculous. Oh, Israel's a fascist ethno state that's doing a genocide, but also they should, continue to operate like a normal country is a fucking ridiculous position. Why would Israel ever stop doing the fascist genocidal shit if there are no penalties for it? BDS is the most effective non-violent movement against the state of Israel. And the very fact that this is a non-starter for so many people in positions of power is mind-boggling. Like, what are you supposed to do? What the fuck are people supposed to say and do? Okay, I guess we can't criticize Israel. We can't protest against Israel. We can't demand sanctions against Israel. What are we supposed to do? It's just illegal to say anything mean about Israel. Okay? You're just not allowed. Israel can do whatever the fuck it wants, and you can't say a damn thing about it. It's the fucking bare minimum.
Today said that Israeli bond investments violate New York City values. Do you agree with your endorsed candidate for mayor that Israeli bond investments violate New York City values?
So I am the fiduciary for New York City's investments, and I make those decisions based on that fiduciary obligation. First, I'll broadly say I don't support BDS, as I said. New York City's pension funds under my watch have over $300 million invested in Israeli companies. We do not have Israeli bonds.
Like flexing this as though it's a positive is so crazy to me. It's so ass. It's so ass.
Because we do not broadly have foreign bonds in other countries in Canada or England or France.
Do you think Israeli bond investments violate New York City values? Do you agree?
Yes, just fucking say yes.
Agree with Zohran Mandami?
My job as controller is not to assess alignment.
It's a pretty straightforward
No, this is
question
actually
that you
important.
as controller should be
I
able
have
to
a
answer.
fiduciary duty to figure out best risk-adjusted
Gentleman's
return.
time has
Okay, so you slightly support.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I did not think that the.
I just want to know if you condemn the phrase globalized intifada as a call to violence against Jewish people.
I've made very clear on occasions that when I hear that phrase, what's ringing in my ears is violence.
I hate this discourse so much. This is his worst. This is the weakest shit. You're not evaluating Lander correctly. He's acting out of principle here. He is someone who truly doesn't support BDS himself personally. He's not making political calculations. And with him acting out of principle, there's plenty of good, like supporting Zohran and fighting against Cuomo. But he also has sincerely held beliefs around Israel that we disagree with. I know. That's why I'm making the correct fucking assessment here and saying his beliefs around not supporting BDS is dog shit. Even the fact that he says, like, oh my God, when I hear globalized intifada, I think violence against Jews. Dog shit. It's ridiculous. Okay? And when that chatter says politically, of course, supporting or not supporting BDS is a political calculation. What chatter means is that he's not actually being insincere. Okay? He's not being, like, this is something that he truly believes. He truly thinks BDS is bad. And he is refusing to change his position just because it'll win him favors. And my anger here is I don't like his sincerely held beliefs on this issue. Okay? Yes. It's wrong. What's his reasoning for saying BDS is bad? I don't know. I haven't examined why he defends it, but I suspect it's the same thing. Like even an actual anti-Zionist who is Jewish living in Israel, Ofer Kasif, was fearful about BDS. Even Norm Finkelstein initially was like anti-BDS. His position has changed throughout time. And part of that is because a lot of Jewish people think BDS means like, oh, it's just going to target every Jewish business. Okay? And that's the issue. They think legitimately this is like pre-Holocaust Nazi initiatives. It's wrong. Okay? I don't agree with it. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. But it's not an accident that there is there are a shit ton of like actual anti-Zionists who are also critical on BDS or were critical on BDS. And I think their positions have moved. Do you see what I mean? But it's not for the record, it's not because they are like, they have this like sinister secret position where they're like, actually, no, I really do want the genocide to continue. I really do want the apartheid to continue. They can have a sincerely held belief on this issue that's just fucking wrong, okay? Unless you think Ofer Kasif is not like a real anti-Zionist, or unless you think Norm Finkelstein is not a real anti-Zionist, and they personally think like you have to keep helping Israel. Like if you think that that is what it is, well, you're wrong. And Brad Lander is not an anti-Zionist anyway. He's a liberal Zionist.
Against Jews in the Second Intifada, and unfortunately here in the United States recently.
So you condemn the phrase?
It's like, it's one of those things. He's like the last true liberal Zionist. Because virtually every liberal Zionist at this point has become like a Kahanist. Okay? Or they've become anti-Zionist. Brad Lander has been like, no, I'm just going to stay this lane. I'm just me and myself and we're staying in this fucking lane for some reason. Like post-October 7, liberal Zionists went in two directions. A lot of liberal Zionists basically were like, actually, you know what? I love Itamar Ben-Gvir. You know? A lot of them went in that direction. Some of them were like, yeah, this shit's fucked. I actually realized, like, this is totally unacceptable, totally fucked. I'm an anti-Zionist now. Fuck it. YOLO. Brad Lander and Bernie Sanders and some others are the last Japanese soldier still fighting in the Philippines 39 years after World War II ended, okay? For liberal Zionism. They're just in the trenches like, no. Especially for... then why are you treating him differently than Biden or Kamala? It feels like you're telling us to do lesser evil voting, which is bullshit. Chatter. This is a problem. If you think Brad Lander's position on Israel is identical to Kamala Harris or Biden, you're fucking insane. Like, it's still bad, but like, there's varying degrees of bad. That's why I'm comparing him to Bernie Sanders and not Kamala Harris or Joseph Robinette Biden. It's fucking crazy. You sounded like a disappointed father for a second, because I do feel like that sometimes, because chatters lean into the same exact like black and white unnuanced thinking when it comes to stuff like this. And that is unironically one of the biggest fucking criticisms that this community gets from the outside. And it frustrates me when I see people leaning into the outsider community memes. We do not, under any circumstance, have to adopt the cynical framing of our enemies, okay? We are capable of thinking about things with nuance, please.
It's like a yes or no question. You're either for it or against it. It's given what you said, I assume.
I make clear that I think when people use it, they are saying open season against Jews.
So we should do everything we can to get people to stop using that phrase, correct?
I wouldn't want a law against the phrase. I guess what I would say when you say everything we can do, I make clear how I feel about it and what I think when I hear it. Would I want a law saying it was banned? I would not.
So that you think we should allow that, and you think we should discourage it or condemn it? What do you think we should do on that phrase?
God, I fucking hate Gottheimer so much. Brother, animal, okay? Gottheimer is such a ginormous piece of shit. So is Lawler. And Gottheimer is not even a Republican, okay? It's just so strange it's so strange to me that Josh Gottheimer, who is a Democrat from New Jersey, and Mike Lawler, who is a Republican from New York, are so invested in this that they are actively daggering Brad Lander, who is already a liberal Zionist himself. Okay? They're actively fucking harassing him here because of his allegiances to Zoran, and they're so invested in this that it's just like, oh yeah, why don't we want to fucking globalize the Intifada illegal? Lander's already done too much by saying he doesn't like it, but they want him to go even further and make it illegal amount. I know, it's just fucking insane. This is part of the reason why I think Brad Lander should be more aggressive and lean into one side of this argument. Okay?
Just don't want anyone You won't even condemn the phrase? Even if you say we shouldn't have a law, do you condemn the phrase globalized intifada?
I mean, I've made very clear how I feel.
It's just a
about
yes or no,
that
man.
phrase.
It's not that hard.
But when you say anything we could do, are you saying that you think there should be legislation that would prohibit
This question,
people
sir,
or
I reclaim my
criminalize
time. This
people?
question is, do you condemn the phrase globalized intifada? It's a simple
what
yes
you
or
mean
no
by
question.
Just fucking say you don't condemn it, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway, globalize the uprising. Yeah, if you say globalize the uprising, all of a sudden it doesn't seem so political, right? God damn it, this Santa fucking busting ass over here is annoying me. Globalize the uprising. You just don't like it because it's an Arabic word and it scares you. Okay, that's it. I hate this like entirely cynical bullshit fucking hand-wringing narrative over globalize the intifada. I hate that Zoran also fucking leaned into it. It's so frustrating. It's so annoying. It's so fucked up. And any politician in a position of power should not be conceding to this if they are even remotely progressive. Okay. Hassan conceded the chat's framing. No, I'm not conceding the chat's framing. These are my own personal positions. I'm still, having said all of this, I'm still happy about Brad Lander, regardless of all of this that I've just explained to you, because Brad Lander still is infinitely more progressive than Dan fucking Goldman. On the issue of Israel, however, this is his weakest aspect. Okay. And I think he needs to lean into, a consistent position on this that actually follows human rights. Okay. Bro, we're never getting a perfect candidate. I mean, it doesn't matter. This is not even like getting a perfect candidate. I don't give a shit about that. Anyway, head is looking especially tiny today, my liege. Yeah, because the hoodie that I'm wearing literally has shoulder pads on it. Here is Daniel S. Goldman posing for a smiling photo at an AIPAC event next to a MAGA Republican. I wonder why he hasn't posted about this on his own account. If you want to understand the guy he's going after, this is the guy he's going after. Okay? Why does the word Zionist get auto-modded in this chat? It's not auto-modded in other chats. I wonder why. Perhaps because this chat is the reason why the term Zionist and then whatever you want to add next to it became a censored term on Twitch. So it is for your protection. I didn't get banned for it, no. But they tried to actively get me banned for it. The ADL. It's very fucking annoying. All right. Oh, yeah, there's more on this. Dan Goldman. Also, Dan Goldman didn't endorse Mamdani, voted with 212 Republicans to censure Rashida Tlaib, joined 148 Republicans that expressed disgust at South Africa's ICJ genocide suit, suggested attack killing 100 plus waiting for food was Hamas narrative, didn't trust number of kids killed in Gaza. Absolute fucking weirdo. Absolute psycho, okay? Basically Randy Fine, but knows better than to say all Palestinians are animals or something. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't go that far publicly. So that's who he's unseating. I mean, he is far above and beyond in comparison to him, by my estimates at least. But even then, the position that he occupies, I think would, and the worldview that he claims he has, a humanitarian, a progressive, implies that he should be far, far better on the issue of Israel. Okay? Anyway, let's get to the U.S. Seizing a Venezuelan oil tanker as anti-Maduro campaign escalates. We're going to be talking about that. There's also accused Charlie Kirk killer. We'll cover that as well. Fox News talking about how he has no remorse. We'll talk about Erica Kirk doing a town hall, the censorship laws that might be kicking in Congress. And much
U.S.
more.
troops seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela a day after U.S. fighter jets flew over the Gulf of Venezuela, the closest the U.S. has come to the country's airspace. Attorney General Pam Bondi released videos showing U.S. forces rappelling from helicopters and pointing weapons at sailors. Bondi claimed the tanker had been used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. President Trump confirmed the raid while speaking with reporters at the White House.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large, largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people. Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman, just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going?
Follow it. Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it sure it's going to
But
keep
we're going to, I assume we're going to keep the oil.
The Venezuelan government denounced the action, calling it blatant theft and an act of international piracy. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro spoke in Caracas Wednesday.
Anyone who wants Venezuelan oil must respect the law, the Constitution, and national sovereignty, and get down to producing, invest, and sell our oil. Venezuela, an oil colony, never again. Neither a colony nor slaves.
He also started singing, "Don't worry, be happy." The U.S. seizure of the oil tanker comes as the Pentagon ramps up its military buildup in the Caribbean ahead of possible strikes on Venezuela. Since September, the U.S. has carried out more than 20 deadly strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and the Pacific, though they've never offered evidence. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to the right-wing Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado. On Tuesday night, hundreds of protesters marched in Oslo to condemn the selection of Machado, who supported Trump's threats against the Venezuelan government. In October, she dedicated the Peace Prize to President Trump. Machado did not attend the prize ceremony on Wednesday, but later appeared in Oslo waving to supporters from the balcony of her hotel. She spoke at the Norwegian parliament today. CNN reports the United States gave her support to travel to Oslo from...
Fucking sick, man. That's awesome. Seems like she's definitely the good guy in this story. You know? Remember... Ansarallah seizes ships off their coastline to implement a blockade on Israel because of the genocide. They're terrorists. USA steals Venezuelan oil off their coastline to agitate them into war. They're terrorists. Who's the terrorist here? I think Israel and America are acting like terrorists. And there is so much mainstream media support on this. So much. All the way from the Jake Tappers of the world to CBS News. And they're presenting this woman who's literally fucking being like, please bomb the shit out of my country. I want death and destruction in Caracas. I want dead babies in Caracas as like supposedly a good person here.
Venezuela, where she'd been in hiding. She apparently last step flew from Bangor, Maine to Oslo.
We're joined by Alejandro Velasco, associate professor at New York University, where he's a historian of modern Latin America. Velasco is a former executive director of NACLA Report on the Americas.
Someone just says she does not want that. There's so much that's not said. She does not want that. Is there a State Department villain that you won't dick ride? Is there? Like, me being critical of Maduro doesn't even fucking play a role in this analysis. It's so crazy. There's better opposition leaders in Venezuela, from what I understand, than even Machado. But you have to fucking literally go, no, she's the best one because America chose her as the best one. And the reason why America chose her as the best one is because she literally said Venezuela's struggle is like Israel's struggle. Okay, please, Benjamin Netanyahu, aid and assist in me becoming the puppet leader. Going to business conferences or speaking to the business conferences in Florida, being like, we're going to let foreign capital take over all of the state assets. We're gonna let you literally rape the ground, rape and pillage, okay, under my watch, as long as you just murder enough fucking people and forcibly take out Maduro. Your background as a potential Venezuelan does not change this calculation at all either, by the way. I don't do any of that fucking standpoint theory bullshit. Oh, you're Venezuelan? So I guess I should be in agreement with you unconditionally about America literally trying to actively invade a foreign nation.
and the author of Barrio Rising, Urban Popular Politics and the Making of Modern Venezuela. He was born and raised in Venezuela. Welcome back to the show, Alejandro. So if you could comment on these latest developments, the U.S. Coming the closest it has to invading Venezuela's airspace, and then also Machado receiving the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, no, for sure. But on the one hand, you have to think of it as an escalation on two fronts. The most apparent front, of course, is the military escalation, even though they're calling it a legal maneuver, more of a high sea stakes kind of operation. In fact, the United States has amassed the greatest number of troops in the 21st century in the Caribbean. And so this absolutely escalates this kind of war of chicken with the Venezuelan government. But it's also, in some ways, an escalation of illegality. The United States has in the past seized Venezuelan assets. It now controls millions of Venezuelan Citgo assets that it is essentially kidnapped for ransom in the United States. The UK has also held Venezuelan gold in the wake of 2019's crisis that saw Juan Guaido become sort of interim president, self-proclaimed. And so that kind of escalation is very significant, worrisome. It's been interesting that the Venezuelan government's reaction has been really disciplined. They've not fallen into the trap of trying to be goaded into some kind of response that would surely bring greater military action on the part of the United States. Now, on the other hand, of course, you have the Maria Corina Machado ceremony. She had said that she would not leave Venezuela until the final battle is won. And so now the question is, will she be able to return, or will she run the fate of many Venezuelan politicians in the opposition who've lived out their promise in exile?
But was she under a travel ban? She'd apparently not seen her own children. Her daughter received the prize in her stead. She had not seen the kids for a year or possibly two. What kind of ban was she under?
So the Venezuelan government had an arrest warrant on her. And so they had alleged that she had violated campaign laws, political actions as well. And so certainly she was under hiding. And of course, her concern was if she was going to be detained, then she might suffer the consequences of torture or other kinds of violations. But of course, her profile is so significant, it's so high profile that it's also somewhat far-fetched to imagine that the Venezuelan government would in fact detain her.
I wasn't in the room when it started moving. Okay, I don't know what he just saw, perhaps a ghost, but I was not in the fucking room when that shit started moving. Okay, that's strange.
Then in fact see what she's doing now, which is to leave.
Let me play Maria Corina Machado speaking at the Norwegian Parliament today.
I am very hopeful Venezuela will be free.
God, I fucking hate how insincere these animals in suits actually are. Okay? They are some of the most insincere motherfuckers out there. Oh, we love liberalism. We love human rights. We are the defender of human rights. Nope. Here's some choice words from Bonzer-Berry on Machado. Machado is a bloodthirsty Zionist who called Netanyahu days after winning the Peace Prize to praise him for the genocide in Gaza and starting a war with Iran, claims that Hamas operates in Venezuela. Her party has signed multiple cooperation agreements with Likud since 2020. Recently said the struggle of Venezuela is the struggle of Israel. Plans to move the Venezuelan embassy to Jerusalem. Praises Trump for killing her own people and hopes for escalation. Recently spoke at the far-right Patriots for Europe rally with Geert Wilders and Marine Le Pen. Also has spoken to American business owners saying, if you put me as a puppet leader, if you give me power in Venezuela, I will literally use that power to sell off all of our assets to you for pennies on the dollar.
And we will turn a country into a beacon of hope and opportunity of democracy. And we will welcome not only the Venezuelans that have been forced to flee, but citizens from all over the world that will find a refuge, as Venezuela used to be decades ago.
On Tuesday night, hundreds of protesters marched in Oslo to condemn the selection of Machado for the Nobel Peace Prize.
You are not covering this correctly from a Norwegian perspective. The fuck do you mean? What do you want me to say? From I can only look at the liberal leadership in Europe and how little they give a fuck about the theoretical values that liberalism is supposed to demonstrate around the world. I think you're joking, though.
Because she supported Trump's threats against Venezuela. In October, she dedicated the Peace Prize to Trump. This is Lena Alvarez of the Norwegian Solidarity Committee for Latin America in Oslo.
We are here at a demonstration organized together with a broad alliance of Norwegian solidarity and peace organizations, where we are highlighting that the Nobel Prize is being used to legitimize military intervention. This year's Nobel Prize winner has not distanced herself from the interventions and the attacks we are seeing in the Caribbean. And we are stating that this clearly breaks with Alfred Nobel's will.
So, Professor Velasco, if you can comment on this, and then talk about this tanker. President Trump boasted it's the largest tanker ever seized.
It's hard to...
How are the anti-globalists not flipping their shit right now? 2016 Republicans would be furious. What are you talking about? The anti-globalist position by the Republicans has always been this. It's fake as fuck. What the fuck? No, they wouldn't be. And the amount of anti-imperialist Americans is shrinking every single day. Okay? That's just rhetoric. I don't understand if the Nobel laureate do not support Trump. Why are they supporting her? I don't know. They don't support Trump on the optics, or they might actually support Trump next year. We don't even know that, first of all. But also, secondly, perhaps they do support Trump, and maybe you'll see next year. Or even if they don't support Trump, it's only on the optics front. They still support the American ambitions.
Parse the Nobel Prize Committee's selection and then how they have proceeded over the last few weeks since the announcement. The history of the Nobel Prize being awarded to politicians and opposition politicians is...
Sorry for spamming, but I don't get why they don't actually use the election fraud allegations as a part of the consent manufacturer, and they're just too lazy to explain it to their apathetic base. Yes. I feel like if it was a liberal intervention, if it was a liberal government doing the intervention, they would hammer that over and over and over again. Okay? But because it's a Republican intervention, they don't even feel the need to do so. Remember, different governments and different administrations sell to their base the actions that they're taking, even if the actions that they're taking are identical, the way that they sell it is different. Okay? The way that they sell it is different.
Let's just say not a very storied one. More recently, of course, you have Barack Obama, who had been awarded the prize, and before that, Aung San Suu Kyi, the Burmese politician. And at the time, they said that these were more aspirational awards for hopefully what would come if they, in fact, reached the kind of power that they wanted. But in both of those cases, of course, we did not see peace. We saw, in the case of, unfortunately, of Obama, war, and of Aung San Suu Kyi, an authoritarian turn. So part of the question here is, why would the Nobel Prize Committee take another chance on an opposition politician who has been so vocal in requesting and demanding an armed intervention of her country? Even, of course, as on the other hand, she would say, well, we want peace and we want democracy. This is what the Norwegians, the prime minister conversation was like. So that's on the one hand. What is going on with the Norwegians who have in the past tried to broker some kind of negotiation with the Venezuelan government? But in terms, of course, of the oil question, it's a kind of a two-handed approach. You have this seeming carrot of, well, we seek peace and bringing the Norwegians along. But on the other hand, we're seizing ships. We are launching military aircraft, fighter jets, literally off the coast of Venezuela.
This Nobel Peace Prize winner is crazy, but Maduro's still bad, right? He's a corrupt dictator that has repressed a lot of civil dissent with his leadership. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, what's worse, dude? What's worse? Maduro remaining in power, or American bombs falling on Caracas? Or even if it's literally not American bombs falling on Caracas, but they somehow get to him, they unseat him, and they put this fucking psycho, this American stooge, and then you'll actually see the real fucking suppression, okay? Then you'll see the actual suppression. Because obviously, regardless of Maduro's popularity waning over the course of the past decade or so, and partially because of the sanctions, partially because of mismanagement of the economy, all this stuff, okay? There will be a lot of fucking discontent in the Venezuelan population against the new leadership and American intervention. How do you think that discontent will be suppressed? How? Waning popularity, 1/4 of the country left, bro. Yes, it's virtually impossible to explain to someone what it looks like when your economy is being directly attacked. It's such a fucking dumb point of view to advance. It's like this is unironically no different than the same argument right now, which is, well, if Maduro cares about the safety of Venezuelans, then he should just like step aside, right? He should just go escape, and Machado should be the leader of Venezuela, the rightful leader of Venezuela. Why? Because the alternative is we'll fucking kill you. That's not a fucking negotiation. You know? That's not a negotiation at all. Do you think having her there may at least improve the economy? I don't know. Did Pinochet improve the Chilean economy? The fuck? What are we doing? These interventions have already happened. Okay? It's not like this is a new and unique thing. It blows my mind because it's not that complicated of a story here.
All in an effort to try to goad the Venezuelan government to a kind of misstep that would then justify some military intervention.
But what do we know about this ship? The U.S. officials, of course, say the ship had been previously linked to the smuggling of Iranian oil. The final destination of the ship was indeed Asia. Can you talk about the claim that the Venezuelan state-owned oil company, PDVSA, is part of a global black market network?
So Venezuela's oil, and PDVSA in particular, has been sanctioned since the first Trump administration. And those, as we call sectoral sanctions, are part of a maximum pressure campaign on the part of the U.S. to try to force the Venezuelan government out of power. They, of course, withstood that pressure. But it does mean that Venezuelan oil and Venezuelan oil interests and assets abroad as well as domestically are under threat. The paradox here is that Venezuela continues to sell oil to the United States. So on the one hand, we have the seizure of a tanker, and then other tankers that are just finding their way to the United States by way of licenses to be sold in the U.S. market. And so, part of this is this larger narrative of Venezuelan narco-terrorism and this axis between Iran and Venezuela and Cuba. But on the other hand, you have the continuation.
I take it back, actually. When I said, then you will see real repression, you won't. Because it'll be relegated to the fucking back pages. No one will talk about it. When the Venezuelan population rises up against the puppet leadership, selling the land off and doing ruthless things, far worse than even Maduro has done, you will not hear about it at all because American media will not cover it because Venezuela will be commanded by an American puppet. Okay? Venezuela will be commanded by an American puppet, and we will get to do whatever the fuck we want to do with Venezuelan assets, Venezuelan resources, and therefore we will have won.
Of politics as normal. So it's hard, extremely difficult.
Why are we still explaining this in 2025? Because I'm only one person. And not only am I one person, but I'm one person with a position that is rarely ever represented in American media in general. And when represented, it meets a lot of fucking aggression, even from people who are self-described progressives, self-described leftists. And when I push back on the naysayers, those self-described leftists become self-described haters.
To parse what the actual intentions are.
So let's talk about Venezuela having the world's largest oil reserves. It's under threat from the United States, and followed by Colombia. On Wednesday, President Trump threatened Colombian President Petro.
It's producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next, too.
But don't worry, guys. When Donald Trump inevitably moves on to Colombia, I'm sure there will be like a half-hearted response to how Gustavo Petro has actually ruined Colombia. And then you guys will fucking lap that shit up too. You'll be like, oh, well, I'm a Colombian living in the United States of America, and I think Gustavo Petro needs to be forcibly taken out of power. Why won't they actually Why won't they actually put in charge a reasonable person, you know? And then you can tell me about how leftistly this is the right thing to do.
I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
I hope he's listening, he says about Petro. He is going to be next. He also brought in narco trafficking. It's important to note that in this past week, he pardoned a major narco trafficker, right? The former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was sentenced in a U.S. court to 45 years in prison. It served about a year of that, accused of bringing in, using all the levers of the Honduran state, military, police, helping to facilitate 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. So talk about Colombia. And
I mean, Colombia has been nothing if not a stable partner for the United States in terms of drug interdiction. It continues to be a major oil drug producer and exporter, although Ecuador has now become far more. And of course, Ecuador has a friendly ally to the Trump administration as president currently, and so they're not talking about Ecuador. But you know what this demonstrates is that it's certainly on the part of Trump, but also on the part of Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and others in the U.S. government, Venezuela is not the only target. It's other Latin American governments, and questions about narcoterrorism are really subterfuge claims, in fact, to get rid of leftist governments in the region. Right? This is what we see with Colombia. We've seen other threats to Mexico as well, which has a leftist government as well. So this has a lot to do with ideology, despite the claims that it's impact about drugs.
before you go, I wanted to ask you about what is a national story, but also has international significance. This Miami mayoral race, Florida voters electing a Democratic mayor and the first woman, for the first time, a Democratic mayor in 30 years. In a stunning upset, the former county commissioner Eileen Higgins received about 59% of the vote, defeating the Cuban-born Republican Emilio Gonzalez, who'd been endorsed by Trump. How does this relate to what we're seeing now? Trump reportedly has been extremely affected by these two races this week. One was her upset victory, and another, a smaller race in Georgia, in a Trump region. State legislator, Democrat, won this time around. But what about Miami?
It's massive, and especially in the worldview of Trump and his ties to Florida in particular, but his sense that Florida was now in the bag for Trump, and this tremendous upset, and it wasn't even close, right? And we're talking massive, margin, suggests that perhaps the message, the bellicose message that the Cuban American community, most of the Cuban American community in South Florida.
Bring up Rubio in this, the Secretary of State, and his role and what's happening, Cuban American from Miami.
Yes. This sort of staid Cold War era discourse being brought up again, what it suggests is that it's perhaps run a bit of its course, and the interests of people in Miami, as elsewhere in the country, especially Republican voters, is much more fixated on what are you doing for me here at home? Why are we worrying about interventions abroad? What are you doing for us here at home? And this is a tremendous warning, I think, to the Trump administration, and Trump in particular, that the focus has to shift to domestic interests, especially around the economy, rather than these war games with tremendously high stakes in the Caribbean.
So no more I will vote for Trump song. Someone asked in the chat, would you say people in red states are starting to notice and someone realized that Trump's policies don't serve them? No. I think there were people who didn't vote, or people who have voted for Democrats in the past, or people who took a shot in the dark for Donald Trump, or Republican voters who are just comfortable with Donald Trump that didn't go out and vote at all. But I don't think there is major buyer's remorse. There might be. All rise. But I don't think things have gotten as bad as they should for there to be major buyer's remorse. Also, the alternatives aren't necessarily super telegenic, super charismatic, super bold, in the right direction, speak their language. You know what I mean? I think we're still stuck on the boundaries of the culture war, which obviously favors the Republicans quite a bit. Democrats are still playing a game of politics that does not favor them. So no matter how much Donald Trump's policies directly fuck over the Republicans themselves, they can still lean into, they can still very much lean into like, well, at least we're still dominating. We still got culture war stuff. The alternative is stupid and liberal and silly. You know, that's what it is. All right, now we're going to get to the alleged Charlie Kirk killer. Alleged. Not the state of Israel, by the way, but instead, Tyler Robinson, appearing in court for the first time ever.
Please be seated. Court is now in session. Counsel, if you could enter your appearances, please.
Wow, that's bad content, dude.
Your Honor, Christopher Ballard, Ryan McBride, Chad Grunander, and Lauren Hunt on behalf of the state.
Good afternoon.
A lot of dead air.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Kathy Nestor, excuse me, Richard Novak, Stacy Visser on behalf of Mr. Robinson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jeff Hunt and David Ryman appearing on behalf of the media interveners that are identified in our motion papers.
Good afternoon.
Michael Judd, Your Honor, Parsons, Bailey, and Latimer on behalf of another set of media interveners also identified in the briefs.
Good afternoon, and I recognize Mr. Robinson in the courtroom as well. Good afternoon. And for the benefit of the record, calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Counsel, as we're moving forward today, I want to give an overview of what we anticipate doing. And it comes down, we're addressing 3 issues. The first is the October 14th, 2025 audio recording of the closed hearing and the October 24th, 2025 transcript of that hearing. The second is the state's motion to amend or clarify the publicity order, commonly known or referred to as the gag order. And finally, the motion for limited intervention and request for notice of motions to close, seal, or reclassify, and which has been filed by the media organizations and by counsel who are present today. So as we begin, the first part is we'll begin by addressing the October 14th audio recording and the October 24th transcript. This portion of the hearing will be closed so that I may hear from the parties regarding which portions of the recording, the record should remain sealed. All members of the public and the press will be excused, and the hearing will not be broadcast. This is because I need to hear what should or should not be sealed or protected, and it would not benefit to have everyone listen to what should be sealed. And so after I've heard argument, we will invite all parties or the public and the media to come back in, and the hearing will resume transmission. We will then take up the motion for limited intervention, followed by the state's motion to amend or clarify the publicity order. These portions, the last 2 portions, will be open to the public. I need to know
what Candace Owens, would make of this court case.
Matters, I will take a brief
with her brilliant analysis,
and then return to
and
issue
now that some of the aspects
we will
of
then stand
the
in recess. So at this point, we'll
some
go
of the
ahead and
aspects of
excuse
the court case will be
and the
hidden from the
media,
public
and
eye.
it is the
What are
court's
they
order that
hiding?
transmission be terminated temporarily.
Oh shit!
Your Honor, we have one request with respect to the closed hearing. May I be heard on that?
Yes, counsel.
Thank you. Richard Novak for Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson has some immediate family members who are present, his father, his mother, and his brother, and we would ask the court to permit them to remain in the courtroom during the closed portion of the hearing.
To the state.
Yeah, one of the family members is a Candace
My only
Owens
concern with that,
spy.
Your Honor, is that we're going to be talking about court security measures. And I don't know that we'll have to go into a lot of detail about that, but I do have concerns about those issues being discussed in public.
All right. Mr. Novak, do you have authority that supports allowing them to remain in a closed hearing?
No, I think it's subject to the court's discretion to decide who is and is not an appropriate member of the public. I think they have a unique relationship with Mr. Robinson, and they would certainly abide by any orders the court makes concerning.
Oh my God! Do you think it's because they're worried that they're going to leak shit to Candace Owens?
Of what is discussed in closed session, but obviously it's up to the court.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. I'm going to rule that they will be excluded as well. It is just given the nature and the sensitivity of it. I believe it is appropriate to treat all parties in the public equally, though I do recognize their relationship with Mr. Robinson. Thank you for your request.
His lawyers
We
say
will
the
go
rules
into
were
the closed
violated
session.
for today. Breaking. Charlie Kirk, alleged
On
assassin
with
Tyler
us,
Robinson's defense
your
team
thoughts
arguing
and
right now that
reactions
someone
so
inside the
far.
courtroom violated the rules and live
Well, my
streamed
first
Robinson in
reaction is
shackles and
looking into
showed
the courtroom
computers.
and seeing what's happening. Again, talking about Robinson.
Someone in the chat said, no, Candace is irrelevant. You are so wrong. Candace Owens right now is about to go live in 25 minutes after Erica Kirk did a town hall with Barry Weiss and also told Candace Owens to stop attacking her, okay, in the name of Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens currently has 8,255 people waiting in her waiting room. She will have 150,000 live viewers, live concurrent viewers by the time she goes live. She had 180,000 yesterday. There's also an update on the Tim Pool side of the saga. Conservative pundit Tim Pool claims shots fired at his property. Cops can't substantiate the story, according to TMZ. So there is that too.
It's disgusting. He's a true sociopath. It's someone who has absolutely no empathy. They have no remorse. They have no conscience. He killed somebody. He doesn't care. He's smiling. But again, that's not going to serve well. You know, when the trial comes to pass and the death penalty is on the table, again, jurors will not be okay with that. The other thing that I think is very important to understand is that working with these victims, I know myself when I was an FBI agent, I wanted a victim-centered approach. Erica Kirk and those in her surrounding sphere, her family, her loved ones, Turning Point family, they are the victims of this. And frankly, the American people who have had to watch this absolute catastrophic tragedy and evil live on television. I mean, it's disgusting, it's heinous, but she has a right to know. And I do think it's very important in this process that you are working closely with the victim. And I assure you that they...
Chatters, a lot of you are on copium watch, okay? Asmongold is the biggest political content creator on this platform, and Candace Owens is the biggest political commentary person in North America, okay? A lot of you are still coping and saying, oh, maybe it's bots. Sure, there might be some botting going on in the case of maybe Asmongold, potentially. But ultimately, this is what the fucking people want, okay? This is what the people demand desperately. They want the slop. They do not care. They do not care about any sort of serious analysis. They just want their biases to be confirmed with fucking slop. Okay? Now, this doesn't mean that like average people in the real world are also invested in the fucking are as invested in the right-wing slop as maybe people who are extremely online are, but people who are extremely online certainly want that kind of commentary. They don't even want Ben Shapiro's take on shit. They want to hear something even easier to consume than that. Recognize that that's where we're at.
She deserves to know what is going to happen. She didn't wake up one day and become a legal expert and a law enforcement expert. She is the victim of this most heinous crime. And again, God bless her. God bless her family. And I do appreciate that there are people that will step up to the line and will hold her hand and walk her through this process, as that is what she deserves. There's several other things that come to my mind in this trial, but it does come down to the judge's decision. But the conspiracy theories are despicable, they are disgusting, and you are profiting off of someone who has been murdered. And that is wrong, that is sick. And if you think that you're helping justice to be served, you are wrong. You are doing no favors for the prosecution team. There are solid law enforcement officers on these investigations. Trust that they are doing the right thing for the right reason. Look, I come from the FBI. I understand why people are in a position where they do not always trust the criminal justice system because of things that we have seen in our country. But rest assured, on this investigation, no stone will be left unturned. All eyes are on this, and there will be no mistakes made. And so please do not take the liberty to go and make up and fill in the gaps where you do not have answers. It is inappropriate.
Like, this entire rant is about Candace Owens. You understand that, right? Like, that's how much cultural impact she has. She's not referring to her by name, but that's who she's talking about. That is a testament to her cultural impact.
You are not helping things. You are making things worse. And if you want justice to be served, you need to let the process work the way that it should and stop putting these lies into people's minds, because you are hurting people. And most of all, you are hurting Erica Kirk, her family, and her loved ones. It is unacceptable. It cannot be tolerated. And anyone that has a clear conscience about making money and creating clickbait, that is sick.
Yeah, Nicole, I read some of your comments earlier about the idea of cameras in this courtroom. At the moment, there is a camera in the courtroom, though it's not turned on right now because they're in a closed hearing. And you thought that to some degree, or maybe even to a large degree, it could be a two-edged sword. It could work well in terms of public transparency, but it could also work against the prosecutors.
I agree with that statement, because that is how I feel. Again, I come from the federal system where there is no media permitted into the courtroom as far as cameras, no electronic devices, no phones. But, individuals are invited into the courtroom. You can take your pen and paper, but there's no electronic devices that are permitted. And the federal system has worked well for trials. But again, I am always focused, for me personally, the victim-centered approach. And if this is what Erica Kirk wants, and this is best for her and her desires, obviously the judge will make the ultimate decision. But I do believe that he will take into consideration, first and foremost, her interest and also that of the public. Again, this was a political assassination. It does affect everybody. But I do believe that this judge is very deliberate. He is very calm. He is very calculated. And I think he has a very good head on his shoulders. I think he will run a very good trial. And I do believe that ultimately you want it to be fair. The last thing you want in
He's French.
law enforcement is to have to go back and retry the case. That's not what you want. And so you don't want the defense to have any wiggle room to say, you know what, that wasn't fair. We're going to ask for a mistrial. You don't want that. Make it fair from the get-go. Do it once, do it right, and put this person behind bars. And if necessary, and they seek the death penalty, that is what he should get.
Yeah, I remember Erica Kirk sharing her thoughts on cameras in the courtroom when she was on with Jesse Waters in early November. And she said, there were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered.
The
Boring.
podcaster Candace Owens.
Erica Kirk has one word for Candace Owens as she spreads conspiracy theories. So Barry Weiss conducted a town hall in the new CBS News, the new right-wing pro-Trump CBS News, the new, much more pro-Israel CBS News. Because remember, she's placed as the editor-in-chief of CBS News specifically for those reasons. To make them pivot more to the right, and also simultaneously make them even more pro-Israel than they already were.
Okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say?
That's not a question, Barry. Kind of seems like you're just jealous. Do you guys understand why I actually am genuinely entertained by the Candace Owens saga, though? Like, do you get it? Because these guys are all such rapacious scumbags. They're all such cynical operators, cynical grifters. And so when someone is out grifting them, especially in a direction that they consider to be unsustainable, at a time when they wanted to galvanize support for conservative causes and use Charlie Kirk's assassination, turn it into a martyrdom, Candace Owens basically dropped a nuclear bomb and did so incredibly successfully and retained a fuck ton of eyeballs in the process and has been able to dominate discourse in such a spectacular fashion. Can't help but celebrate it, you know?
To her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Erica Kirk, widow of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, recorded a CBS News town hall on Wednesday with our editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss. It follows the release of Charlie Kirk's final book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life.
Erica, one of the most alarming...
Wait, stop in the name of God, why honoring the Sabbath will actually save your life? Are they, is it like literally about being like, is the book actually about how like Charlie Kirk loves Judaism or something? Am I crazy? I didn't realize that was the second, that was the like the other part of the title. Or which Sabbath like, are they talking about, because like they were talking about how which Sabbath is a question, right? And the reason why I asked that is because I have seen like bits and pieces and how like you know, she promoted the book by saying, you know, Charlie Kirk would come home on Fridays and say Shabbat Shalom, like stuff like that. And if they're doing this, like post-death book release about how Charlie Kirk actually loved Israel, this is gonna brick people. I think they don't realize what they are doing. I think the wave of anti-Semitism you will see after this is going to be insane.
Things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an
Dude, Sabbath is also a Christian thing. I know, dude. My guy, it ain't a Jewish reference. Brother, I don't think you understand. It's both a Christian thing and a Jewish thing. But if he's talking about like, if he is talking specifically about like, you know, how like we can celebrate, you know, Shabbat, and as Christians, we should be observant of such things, it's going to literally fucking brick a lot of Christian nationalist brains. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the Christian Sabbath is Sunday, right? Like a day of rest, but it's not like the same. There aren't rules around it in the same way there is for Shabbat, which is not just a day of rest, but
He would walk
yeah, this is what I was talking about.
through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And that's what I always wanted to make so special for him,
Like-
was coming home. I'd always
Like taking your phone out on Friday night and putting it in a drawer, the implication is you're not using your phone on Saturday. That's like a practice that Orthodox Jews abide by. I'm not saying that Charlie was doing that. I don't think Charlie Kirk was doing that. He certainly was tweeting a fucking storm on Saturdays too. But she's presenting it as though Charlie is following the Jewish practice, not even the Jewish practice, but like the Orthodox Jewish practice of taking the entire Saturday off and maybe even hiring a Shabbos goy. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he was doing that.
say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Home is here for you. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage spouses, don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it. He would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And that's what I always wanted to make so special for him, was coming home. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what.
Yeah, Saturday is normally defined by sundown Friday until sundown Saturday. I know. That's not a Christian practice. That's a Jewish practice. Yes, putting your phone in a drawer is something like, or just, you know, no longer using your phone on sundown Friday night until sundown Saturday night is what the day of rest is in Jewish practice. I don't know why she chose to act as though Charlie was like, I don't know why she's acting as though Charlie was like observing the Jewish practice of Sabbath.
Do you think?
Anyway, let's continue. Erica Kirk also talks about the people who justified her husband's
idea
murder.
that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter.
This is also a strange response. Not helped by the camera zoom pan, the slow zoom.
You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh? And
I
say
don't
he
get it,
deserves
man.
it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us.
You can watch CBS News Presents a town hall with Erica Kirk Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on CBS and streaming on.
All right, meantime, a defiant Erica Kirk responding to conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination of her late husband, Charlie, while vowing to carry on his legacy.
Yeah, she's talking about how the internet dehumanized people. And it's like, bro, Charlie Kirk dehumanized people all the time on the internet. Like, that was kind of his thing. That was a big part of his commentary, you know?
This was happening before Charlie was murdered. Both of us have been through the ringer of people will call you whatever they want to call you. They will. But I have seen it firsthand impact the people that I love, and I'm done. I'm done. And if people think that I was just going to wilt away, I'm not going to sit in a corner and cry and be in fetal position. This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor.
Joining us now is senior writer for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, it is incredible how complicated people have made all of this for Erica Kirk, and there's also a real level of cruelty to some of these comments as well. What do you make of those remarks from her yesterday?
Well, the cruelty you certainly see on places.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think one thing that Candace Owens actually pointed to was fairly apt. If you're a grieving widow and a mother, you're a grieving widow and a mother. But you can't be a grieving widow and a mother and also simultaneously the CEO of Turning Point USA. Because if you're the CEO of Turning Point USA, people are going to have questions, you know? And you can't just like substitute from grieving widow and mother point position to Turning Point USA position whenever you feel like the heat is on you. And not only do I think that was an apt take, but I think that that is the reason why even conservatives are a little sour on Erica Kirk. I don't think she reads well to conservatives either. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just a suspicion, but the call is coming from inside the house. I don't think the call is coming from outside the house. I don't think it's like liberals and shit yelling about this stuff.
Daily Wire.
Yeah, I saw this. This is the average Candace Owens fan.
This video just lets me know that Candace Owens is right and she is definitely onto something. Keep in mind that the Daily Wire is run by Ben Shapiro. Mind you, she has gone on countless interviews and made money.
This is so funny. Like, this person is a libtard with TikTok voice, okay? She's doing TikTok voice.
From these interviews. And honestly, guys, I have not followed this religiously at all. I've really just been following this through other people, like other content creators. And I do think it's very telling that Erica Kirk so quickly forgave her husband's shooter, but now she's so mad that all these questions are coming up. Mind you, questions she should be the one having as his wife, in my personal opinion. And Candace did speak about this today on her channel, and she also did address Erica's anger towards, you know, herself and other podcasters. So Shannon Hill News, so that's really weird for me to say because Shannon's actually my cousin, guys, so I call her Shannon. She's really been covering this like very well, and Candace commented on her latest video. Someone had commented on Shannon's video saying, why wouldn't Erica be panicking about being followed for 73 flights? And why is she more angry with podcasters asking real questions than that young man she forgave, say 10 after he allegedly killed her husband? Candace responded to this comment and said, I cannot understand this. If someone told me I was being followed by an Egyptian plane, I would be terrified and contact every government agency. Turning Point is instead messaging like it's completely normal and funny almost. I actually find it quite sad that Erica seems angry at Candace asking all the right questions. Questions about her husband's assassination. Like, I hate to say this, it sounds really bad, but it kind of sounds like someone wants to cover it all up.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Yeah, apparently she does like Bravo News commentary. And this is yet another testament to Candace Owens' dominance in that part of discourse. Crystal mommies, Bravo mommies, reality TV show mommies are all over Candace Owens. They love her shit.
And to a certain extent, Twitter as well, Carly. But this is a woman who, I mean, we all have kids. Imagine what she went through on September 10th after Charlie Kirk was executed at Utah Valley University. And then we saw, you know, Charlie's young children run up to him.
Wait, that didn't even happen. What the fuck? That was 3 months ago. Come on, brother. The kids weren't there. What the fuck? But also, this kind of like, you need a buy-in. You need a buy-in. You need people to buy Erica Kirk. And if they don't buy Erica Kirk, they're not going to give a shit about her feelings on this issue. You're trying to promote a sense of normalcy. You're trying to promote like a sense of modesty. You're trying to moderate people's positions. You're like, please, like, what about her feelings? And it's like, I don't think people give a shit about her feelings. I think conservatives don't give a shit about her feelings. So if that's your only line of defense here, people are going to eat that shit up. They're going to eat you up for even presenting it like that. I've been thinking quite a bit about why Candace Owens is so popular, especially around this issue. And it's because, like, conspiracies aside, or at least like the actual meat and potatoes of the conspiracies aside, when, you know, a pretty significant event like this happens, there's going to be a lot of people questioning those mainstream narratives. And in this circumstance, the official narratives are somewhat shady. There are definitely a lot of inconsistencies, or there are definitely a lot of questions. More and more, I'm noticing Candace Owens fans are turning her daily episodes into events. They've gone from listening in the car, or perhaps while they're cooking, to situations like the one in the photo below. They're bringing their husbands in the watch as well. Yeah, she has so much momentum on her side. It was far too quick. It was far too fast. She was on camera far too fast. She took on a position as like CEO of Turning Point USA far too fast, and it turned people off. By the way, there are currently 42,000 people waiting for Candace Owens to start her broadcast, okay? Myself included, obviously. And the numbers are only going to increase, okay? Let's take a look. My TV show is on, and unlike me, she doesn't do any personal news. She just goes right in. There's no audio in the beginning. I don't know why. It's weird. She just goes live for an hour, chirps, does like ads for half of it, and then fucks off. And it gets like 3 million views. But yeah, 50,000. Started streaming less than a minute ago. Did you see the Supergirl trailer? No. People like that. She is passionate and fearless. Okay, chatter. I don't think she's passionate and fearless. I do think that she is a crank and also definitely a grifter, okay? But she reads as passionate and fearless. That's fine. I'll take that as an analysis. But I've been thinking about it. Like I said, the reason why she's a cut above the average conservative grifter is because she is somewhat charismatic, okay? And she has her own hobbies, or at least things that she's interested in, and she ties that into her commentary. Like that's the reason why the fucking Bravo moms are really invested in this shit. She's Alex Jones for the ladies. It's also a sense of, and she identified this yesterday, it's a sense of like the neighborhood gossips. So she's a part of the neighborhood gossips.
I will be very honest. I am in a bit of a mood today. I am just annoyed with everybody. I'm annoyed with this entire psychological operation that is so obvious. And I just feel like we keep going round and round in a circle with the government. You know, whether it's COVID, the Ukraine war, it's like the entire media apparatus and establishment is joining hands to condemn people for having common sense. So I'll ask you a question to begin this. Do you feel, show of hands, okay, that the answer regarding who killed Charlie Kirk and what happened on September 10th is quote unquote very clear? Objectively. Like, even if you are somebody who is on the side of those who do believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger one way or another, would you ever describe what happened as quote unquote very clear? I'm guessing your answer to that would be no. I am asking you that because Erica Kirk believes it to be so. And I guess this is kind of the final stop. I'm hoping it's the final stop of this PR campaign where they are now pivoting and bringing Erica out to signal to the public that we can't question her judgment, right? Because she's a widow, we can't question her judgment. And I want to say that I reject that. I reject emotional manipulation. I want to give people at home the permission to avoid a trap of thinking that you have to arrive at the same conclusions as Erica Kirk, especially when the story that we have been presented thus far
94,000.
little sense, if any sense. It makes, I think, virtually no sense. To that end, later on in the show, we will discuss Tyler Robinson, who has now made his first in-person appearance in court. And I guess the good news there is that we know he exists. Welcome back to Candace.
Oh, I'm welcome. I'm welcoming myself back. Do we watch Candace Owens every day now? I swear this is 3 straight streams. Yes.
Let's just start with the talking points. Let's join the members of the press and the influencers, okay? Here's what we're saying. Let's be influenced. Talking points. There's a bigger mission at bay. We need to focus on a larger, bigger mission. Another talking point. It's
Nebraska
going to
Chatter,
ruin
view count
the
watching is
trial.
so cringe.
If you guys
It's
keep
important.
thinking that things don't make sense, you could ruin the case. And the final
It's
stop,
important.
of course, in these talking points is this is an illness, right? There's something wrong with you at home if you don't find what we are telling you to be true. Trust us, okay? You're mentally
Are you watching the
unwell.
Game Awards? Yes!
What we are looking at right now is a badly run PR campaign. I am saying that it is badly run because it's recognizable. A good PR campaign is not recognizable. A bad PR campaign is an obvious one. And I am going to request respectfully, I know it's not going to be honored, I'm going to respectfully request that all of these Agent Smiths in this obvious matrix just stop, okay? This PR campaign, it's been nonstop since Charlie was shot. It was honestly dead on arrival, okay? We do not trust this. We do not believe this. And yet we are wildly kind of in this position where they're testing to see how many times they can say the same thing before they convince everybody else at home that it's true, okay? Their equation that they seem to be running, if it's that formula, is talking points multiplied by 10,000 talking heads must equal results, okay? They believe that with enough of an echo, they can override basic human instinct, basic intellect, really. There is, I would like to be very clear, nothing that feels right to me about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and especially the way that some of his employees and friends have been behaving since that assassination. And
she's saying
I'll
they're
preface
doing
this
bad
with,
PR.
I am very sorry if that offends you, Erica. Genuinely, I am sorry that there is no amount of increase in pressure and propaganda and headlines written about me that are going to convince me. And by the way, I'm just the conduit, right? You're attacking me, but you're angry that also the masses have not accepted this. There's not a number that is going to convince the masses that his human neck, stopped the 30-06 bullet. Okay, and not even just stop the bullet. I also want to be clear here. It's not just that they're saying that it ricocheted and it stopped, and this would maybe be the first time in human history. And please, if you do know a story, you've got an old article, I don't care where it's from, if you saved a newspaper article from the early 1900s in your family of an example, I don't think that bullet existed then, but like of a 30-06 being stopped by a human neck, please present it. I'd like to show that it is possible, right? It is actually, this happened one time down in Texas, it's possible. But not only are they saying that they stopped it, but I want to remind you that there was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well, okay? There was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well. So it didn't even cause a lot of, damage as it went in. It just cleanly went in and then ricocheted downward into his stomach. I'm frustrated, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but Erica's, that's now being teased, the interview with Barry Weiss, it's being termed a town hall. And Barry is obviously just a Tel Aviv agent. Her entire background story, her rise, her studying in Tel Aviv, her family ties, the hand of Midas pulling her through the ranks a la Jeffrey Epstein. Despite her sub-average intelligence, she's not interesting. She somehow becomes a chief over at CBS News. Right? This actually, what I'm saying about Barry Weiss, this gets into Tucker's quote-unquote problematic speech at SAS when he jumped on stage and basically asked that question. How are all of these subpar people becoming billionaires? The rest of us have to work forever. They're not interesting. They're not talented. And they just seemingly are just getting all of this money and opportunities offered to them. This is clearly not a meritocracy that we're living under. It feels more like, and I'm saying this, more like a cartel. Okay, Barry Weiss is actually one of the people that we should study when it comes to being unimpressive and just getting handouts anyways. It's like welfare. I feel like she's on welfare. Like we all have to work and she gets promoted. And she's gonna be unimpressive in this clip because that's her default. She can't even convincingly ask
so far, goddamn,
prepared, loaded question.
Goddamn, she's cooking.
She is going to deliver to Erica, and this question, like I said, has likely, by the way, been reviewed and marked up by lawyers, but she still is not even convincing.
Bro, she's just saying shit for clout. She don't have class consciousness. Of course not.
Take a listen.
The podcaster Candace
But it's important to understand why she's popular.
At one time,
this is why.
A friend of Charlie's, at one time an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies.
This is why Tucker and now Candace are some of the more dangerous right-wingers
that are putting these lies out into the world right now.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
So this is just, to me, I'm going to also let you know, they pre-recorded this. Obviously, I told you this yesterday from about 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. I have sources just everywhere, CBS News, the people that were in the audience I showed you were emailing me.
This is the Alex Jones technique. I have sources everywhere.
Takes because Barry wanted to read a prompter. These questions were pre-submitted, okay? And I would like to respond to this loaded question. What would you like to say? The podcaster Candace Owens, and I'm not even going to address this repeat talking point about people making money, except for the people that have actually made off of all of the money, millions upon millions of dollars. But this is the new thing. It's like if you keep doing what you were already doing in podcasting or keep doing what you were already doing and doing ballistics on YouTube, if you catch a bunch of views, they want to convince you that like you wake up and you turn into a millionaire. Building her business. What are you talking about? I already had this business. I was already at the top of the charts. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I actually did because it's so ridiculous, okay? But she says, I'm lying. And Eric responds, and her answer to what do you want to say to the podcaster Candace Owens who is lying is stop. So Erica would like me to stop lying. And I would like to honor that, okay? I can only honor that if Erica is more explicit in terms of what I have lied about. What did I lie about? It's just incredible. There have this opportunity. The questions have been before. You could just start like going through them. Maybe they will. By the way, it's coming out on Saturday. Maybe I've made a mistake somewhere and I'm happy. I want to correct that, right? I'm not interested. My goal is not to tell lies. It is obviously plausible that I have made mistakes. I've reviewed these lists that we've put together and I can't find the lie, okay? The lies that I find are coming out of Turning Point USA. Okay, and here are some of those lies. You know, Mikey had blood all over him. Okay, Mikey has offered that his dad was confused. I'll accept that. Well, I didn't lie about that. Rob McCoy lied. His father also said he called his father first. Maybe Rob McCoy was confused. Mikey being a hero for walking away doesn't feel honest. Charlie's neck stopping a 30-06 bullet because he ate healthy and had strong bones. It was a modern day Christian miracle. That feels like a pretty big lie, okay? Charlie never wavered in his support for Israel was a nasty lie. Maybe Barry want to prep, like, what do you want to say to the people that literally lied about what Charlie was living through in the last weeks of his life? Stop, Josh Hammer. Stop, Bibi Netanyahu. No, I'm sorry. Barry Weiss is here. We're not going to get to that. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. Did I lie about that? Nope. Turning Point USA lied about that. And I was attacked for telling me, I'm attacked for catching the lies. We'll get to that later. That's their new method. Once first they accuse me of lying, then I prove I'm not lying. And then their strategy is to attack me for telling the truth and saying, how dare you reveal a personal text message to defend yourself from being called a liar. We can keep going here. Has any of this been clarified? Ben Shapiro said they never had any bad blood between them. I proved that was not true. Again, that also came from a little PR. Alex Clark pulling that move.
The number 6 bullet point is the funniest one.
Terrell Farnsworth was told to remove that SD card by
Charlie
police.
was on
that was not true.
On the verge
Terrell
of
Farnsworth
committing to
personally told me that was not
Catholicism.
true. Terrell removed the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Again, not what Terrell Farnsworth himself told me. And also doesn't make any logical sense, because if you were worried about theft, you would have taken the cameras and not just the SD card, particularly from the camera behind his head, as opposed to the cameras that were in front of him. Lie. Charlie established a Doge and it was not unusual. That's a lie. It was unusual. Doge didn't even exist prior to Elon Musk making that a thing about government accountability. Charlie Kirk's team did not fly drones. Major lie. Brian Harpole told that lie. Brian Harpole also told a major lie when he said that the security had communicated with UVU police to secure those rooftops. That was a lie. It was actually the walkway behind. What am I getting here?
I don't know who any of these people are, but I assume they're important to know.
That I lied about. Have I made mistakes along the way? Yes. I'm not perfect, and I will always adjust those mistakes. So I'm asking you to tell me what I lied about. Why is there not this same energy also for the feds? Because they've told some lies. We've got a list of those too. We put that together. We would like some clarity. Again, Charlie being shot with a .30-06. The lover text messages mysteriously presented without any timestamps. Lying about how Tyler Robinson was arrested. They claim that he confessed and turned himself in. That's not what happened. That he said he was guilty.
Some of these are just pure misunderstandings from Candace Owens. Like the lover text messages get mysteriously presented without time.
He was throwing clothes away, as I presented to you guys in the cemetery. That's problematic.
The Dairy Queen
to the
thing
timeline.
is like
We'd some
strange to
clarity.
me
That's
as
an
well.
oddity. They said Tyler Robinson was arrested wearing a maroon shirt. That actually was also not true. They said Tyler Robinson was suicidal, but also turned himself in because he was afraid of being shot by police. Those two ideas seem to be running into each other.
Like,
how can both of these things be?
If she's a grifter, she's manipulating the like in the aftermath of a breaking news story, especially when you have a dipshit like Kash Patel in charge of the FBI, they're going to reveal a bunch of things that are just simply not true in the heat of the moment. And it's no different than when the police commissioner comes out after like a school shooting and like gives wrong details. We saw a version of this event. We saw a version of this that took place with like the National Guard shooting, where the governor of West Virginia came out, or the governor of Virginia came out, sorry, and said like, oh, the National Guardsmen were killed, right? But I told you back then, it's like, this is probably fog of war shit. It might not be true. It's normal that things like that happen. The problem, of course, is that Candace Owens is basically using all of that to say that there is like a much grander conspiricity here at play.
To be clear, I am also telling the truth. It is not my opinion.
Oh, it was
that
West
these
Virginia,
questions were
not Virginia.
pre-selected.
Sorry.
It's a fact. It's a fact. Like I said, we have insiders. The questions were pre-selected. And one of the pre-selected questions was for Erica, and this will come out on Saturday, setting the stage for her to condemn anti-Semitism, to which she responds and speaks about, as I told you yesterday, how Turning Point will be hosting a Shabbat dinner. And in case the direction of travel for CBS under the stewardship of Barry Weiss is not clear, they even brought in during this town hall the father of the young woman who was shot in D.C. at the Jewish Museum. I think that was an IDF soldier. I might be wrong about that. They also brought out Hunter Kozak, who asked the last question to Charlie Kirk. They filled the audience with people selected by CBS, college Republicans, with questions selected by CBS. So it just is objectively a controlled and a managed situation, a controlled and a managed conversation, if you will. But, and you can predict this, if you are at home this Saturday and you watch this and you're just, a regular old person around the world and you go, this feels really scripted. The influencers are going to come out and they're going to mark you as evil, demonic even. How dare you? Question, what? Are you kidding me? This is like, you're not allowed to say that this feels scripted ever, even though this entire thing since September 10th feels scripted to me. But that's not it. Okay, we're going to get more because Erica also sat down with Glenn Beck of Blaze TV. Now, Again, this is all a part of a PR blitz for Charlie's upcoming book on honoring the Shabbat, which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian. So I'd like to already just say no. Okay. Anyways, Glenn Beck's interview has a bunch of high points, if you will. Foremost, Erica stressing that she believes that the truth is clear. Take a listen.
I don't know how you handle this, Eric. I don't know how to be dragged into, you were involved in the death and all this crazy.
Is he crying?
Stuff.
No, it's sick.
God, Glenn Beck is such a fucking insane person.
It is.
My family means everything to me. Turning Point USA has always been in our life and has always been so good to Charlie, and Charlie was good to his team. Everyone loved Charlie.
Yeah.
I get that. Everyone wants an answer to this evil. And sometimes the answer is very clear.
Yeah.
The truth is very clear.
You can't be
So I
saying
just
that
want to
about
say
this, though.
to, first and foremost, Glenn setting that question up, I can't find, to this day, because this just feels to me to be like the ultimate straw man, any commentator that has explicitly
She is the worst advocate for Charlie. I'm going to be honest.
psychological manipulation of influencers trying to say that if you
Every time she tries to talk, she just comes across like she's lying.
Charlie Kirk of Erica Kirk of killing her husband, which is utterly ridiculous. But I have never seen, and maybe I missed it, I've seen a lot, somebody come out and say Erica Kirk murdered Charlie. But that's what they set up always, which is like, I don't know how you are. I've seen people digging into her background. I've seen people speaking about her Romanian charity. I've seen people looking into her mother, all of that. I've seen all of that, but I have not yet seen where this idea that they keep trying to seed into our minds that asking any questions is it's equivalent to accusing her of murder. That even that feels manipulative to me. Then comes in this totally organic question from Glenn Beck. Totally organic, right? And this is going to be the extreme appeal to authority, which is, okay, if we don't want to answer any questions, we're just going to say you don't understand how the court works. You shouldn't be asking questions because that could potentially ruin the upcoming trial. Take a listen.
You concerned about his assassin is in court today. Are you concerned about being able to have a jury that's not been tainted?
No, it's a real thing, Glenn, and you get this. A lot of people don't, and I think
Bro,
that
Tyler
we need to
Robinson
do a
walks
better
free
job
because
of
the
educating
jury are
our citizens
clandestine
about our
operators.
court systems. A lot of people don't know how an actual trial plays out. I am very curious about how the United Healthcare case plays out. We are living in a day and age where social media can absolutely
161,000.
impact. I feel it can. The reason I say that is because I don't want a tainted jury pool. I want justice for my husband. Anytime we have leads, anytime
I don't know.
we
I
hear
think heads are
anything,
just brain broken,
we
thinking
send it
this
to the
is any kind of
authorities.
conspiracy.
We're
You
not
say it
messing
all the time.
around.
Answer doesn't have to be so crazy
None
as an
of us
elaborate plot. I
are
don't think it's an
involved in
elaborate
my husband's
plot.
murder. None of us. Turning Point USA, myself, any of these other crazy accusations, none of us.
Okay, so this is what I mean, where I just feel like we're just doing the same thing over and over and over again in politics, where you can just apply any
She's
situation.
not
Like,
botted.
it's how it
I
starts.
don't think it's
like
botted.
they come up with a narrative and it feels really stupid. You could like apply this to COVID, whatever. And then people start asking questions because it feels really stupid. And then they tell you like, oh, I wish you guys were more educated about science. I wish you guys were more educated about doctors and nurses, and like, you're just not there. I wish we could explain to you how these things work. But you're going to have to trust the experts. And yeah, I actually think that also because you guys are not trusting the experts, we're going to have to censor people on social media, as they did during COVID, because social media is problematic. Actually, the problem is free speech, ultimately, right? Like, the problem is that you have people on social media who are talking common sense and they don't understand this. Okay, that's like, I just
Also, the
that
other
doesn't
side of the
work
issue
for
is
me.
that she
It doesn't
always
work for
fucking
me,
ties
and it
this
shouldn't
back
work
to
for
like,
you.
remember COVID, remember Ukraine, remember how like they lied to you about those things. And the right-wing audience eats it up. But I think that the secondary consequence of that is the liberal Bravo wine moms that watch it start leaning in the direction of all of the right-wing nonsense that she believes.
Around this idea, and this is kind of actually the we're all in this together psychology that you're about to see, right? The higher calling element of the psychological conditioning. You guys are focusing on the minutia of that day and whether or not the government is involved with assassinating Charlie Kirk. But, you know, Tim Pool's telling you guys midterms. There's midterms and there's things. That's the higher calling, right?
Cook his ass.
The masses should get around that higher calling. Like, even if it goes against your gut to mask your toddler, even if it goes against your gut to let your grandma die alone in a hospital, even if something is screaming at you and you're saying, why does this all feel abusive? Like abusive to toddlers, abusive to our grandparents, let them die alone. Why does it feel to me, my instinct tells me that medical die alone?
I feel like she's running out of shit to talk about. So she just keeps talking about how like the suppression of speech invites conspiracy, right? Like she just keeps like there's not too much else here. There's not enough motion. There's not enough stuff to work with. So she just keeps hammering on how like, oh, people are just stopping us from talking about this because it's conspiratorial.
Stuff that is online.
Yeah,
I think it's really,
and Glenn,
honestly,
I'll be honest,
I feel bad.
I am not going to waste my time. Yeah, I'm not going to waste my time in combating people, going toe to toe, calling people names. That's just not me. That's not how Charlie operated. There's no reason for me to go down a dark place like that. I'm so tired of the fracture. What drives me nuts is that Charlie, he has worked and provided and has blessed us with so much, like literally his book. He has blessed us with so much wisdom, so much, he's just such a good thought leader. He blessed us with laser focus on the mission, on saving this country. But instead, we're so focused on who did what. Like, yes, we will figure all that out. Yes, this is a murder case.
Okay, all of this literally does feel like she just keeps saying, stop yapping about
but my husband's
stop
legacy
yapping about
is
Charlie
not
Kirk's
about his
death
murder.
and start
My
buying
husband's
his
legacy
book.
is what he left behind.
Enough with this, like, questioning who killed Charlie. Shut the fuck up. Buy the book.
I
Buy the
reject
book.
that there's a higher calling that we need to all get around, and the legacy of like actually the legacy. If we find out that the government is implicated, and it looks like to me, and I think a lot of people on the outside, the government is implicated. Otherwise, it wouldn't require every department of the government using propaganda to convince us against common sense. Okay, and if we find out that the government is implicated, then actually his legacy is going to be that a person who gave all of himself to helping people get elected.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, the greatest opportunity for Tyler Robinson is leaning into this shit in any way. Like even a little bit of breadcrumbs will cause Candace Owens to go insane, her audience to expand dramatically, will literally taint the jury pool for sure. He will walk away a free man if he just gives breadcrumbs like this much. Even if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. They will still find something to lean into. But this is crazy.
To say to people, how dare you go against the grieving widow? How dare you go against David Hogg? Right? And you're like, well, I don't know if David Hogg, I know I'm very
Don't
sad.
give him ideas. That's irresponsible.
That a school shooting
I don't think
happened.
Tyler Robinson can hear my ideas. Should not happen. No child should have to live to that. But why does that mean David Hogg gets to go to Harvard? Right? Does that make sense? Like, does he belong at Harvard? And they go, oh, how dare, how you evil, demonic person. Are you possessed? How could you She's also hitting a right-wing angle on the moralizing aspect, which is true. Like, there is definitely a lot of moralizing on the liberal side of things, even on the leftist side of things, especially because of the victims. Usually, the victims being like black or brown. That kind of stuff is really repulsive to people who have no empathy for black and brown people. Okay, And by that, I mean the Republicans. That's why you see a lot of like negative backlash towards that sort of moralizing. But now you are conservatives doing that for one, Israel, and two, they're doing that in this circumstance. So she's almost representing like the true reactionary position here.
I don't know, like passion, normal passion, not this like chat GB feeling of, well, we all need to unite around the mission. It's like, no, I don't really care about cash. I would just be like, what is the borough doing? What has anybody traced this down? Okay, I don't know if Candace is crazy, but she says the French Foreign Legion was there. Has anybody chased this down? I texted her, I got this information. Okay, it's wrong. That's a dead end. Let me move over here. I've got files. I'm going to run this investigation alongside you, Cash. And I don't know what he's doing.
Bro, what the fuck? I mean, yeah, it's a little hard. It's a little hard to keep up with every new thing that you make up.
Is worthy of critique. Like, it's almost like you're dressing down public perception. Like, people think that you can have enough money to just cut over people's gut instincts. That's what it is. It feels like we're so rich, you don't have the right to think. Okay? We are rich enough to remove that. So stop thinking. The elites are here. It feels elite. That's why I hate this. It feels elite. It feels like the opposite of whatever Turning Point felt like when they were the underdogs, right? This entire presentation is elite. I'm on CBS stage with pre-packed questions and Barry Weiss, and I obviously have rehearsed this answer because I got these questions ahead of time. I obviously know I'm going to get asked this, so I'm going to do like, I don't even like, and this is a fact. You can ask anybody who's ever interviewed me. I never ask for questions ahead of time. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the direction it's going into. I never give them anything. I never say we can't talk about this. Nothing's off record, because even getting questions ahead to me, preparing answers feels fake and gay, right? That just feels rehearsed, because it is. It has to be rehearsed. You got the questions ahead of time, and at this stage, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want something that feels anywhere where it feels authentic. Like one question mark that you have, you're like, oh, like I'd like you to be like, I don't know about those text messages. I think Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger, but the text messages are weird. It's just, I trust my team. My team is amazing. And my favorite date is April 24th because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. And all you need is a light jacket. Like it feels fake. It does. I'm sorry. And I am still interested in getting basic answers to our questions. I don't accept that that's somehow going to ruin the court case, because that's a nonsense. You cannot logically explain to the public how letting us see Mikey McCoy's phone records is just one example. If that's really causing you so much grief, here they are. Here's who we called on that day and for how long. How would that implicate? How would that frustrate your lawyer's efforts? How would the current court case and the jury pool be impacted if you answered about why these Egyptian planes, why it's a statistical anomaly for these Egyptian planes to be surrounding Turning Point USA, Faith Events, you and Charlie this many times? How would that impact? And again, I'm a gut player. It's common sense. So forgive me for not being elite enough and educated enough.
This is the Pepe Sylvia meme, except nowadays, that's what the market demands. The market doesn't want to just look at Pepe Sylvia and laugh as a funny character. The market is Pepe Sylvia.
It's not tracking. It's not tracking. And I get it. It's me against the whole world. Actually, it's not. It's me against the elites. We've done this a lot of times. Like I said, Ukraine, COVID.
No ads yet, by the way. Surprising.
Here, pattern here. If all of the mainstream
only 33 minutes in,
all of
we
the
still have time,
influencers are pushing something and calling the other thing evil, we're probably
176,000
viewers
away
from them all then apologizing and being like, I just got it wrong. I shouldn't have told you to get the vaccine. It's a pattern that I've noticed. So I'm going to stick with saying that what happened on September 10th, we are not getting the truth about.
Yes, I'll be watching the Kirky interview on Saturday.
Back after a few messages from our
Even
sponsors.
Though Candace fucking...
All right, you guys, when they double down
called
on
it.
abortion,
It's coming. Preborn time, baby. Okay. Even though Candace basically ruined it by spoiling it ahead of time, telling us exactly what's happening in the interview, in the upcoming interview. You literally said you would stop if Erica said stop, lol. Keep going, Candace. We're all behind you. Can you make nosy neighbor merch? Yeah. Like, this is what the wine moms are tapping into, okay? Candace Owens is presenting herself as like a nosy neighbor. And there are a lot of nosy neighbors, right? So there's almost this like build your own adventure style, follow the breadcrumb style, collective conspiracy element here as well. This is the most boring nothing burger shit ever. Yes, chatter, you are the most intelligent, okay? You are smarter than everybody else. But if you were actually smart, you would understand why this is still important to invest some time into, specifically because, once again, hundreds of thousands of people are tuning into it, okay? At a certain point, you have to realize that the space that we occupy with our fucking self-declared brilliant minds is a place where a lot of people are not at, okay? We are alone in our corner of the fucking 100K people watch anything, man. Oh. When I first started watching Fox News, people would say the exact same thing, okay? Millions watch the Jets. Yeah, but the Jets are not fucking literally getting the president of foreign nations and the prime minister of foreign nations to come out and be like, we did not kill Charlie Kirk, okay? Shut the fuck up.
There's like an element of feudalism here. Like, we are the lords, and who are you? Who are you? We can afford this, and we're gonna keep pushing. And until you believe what we say happened, even when it just makes no sense, it's frustrating. Like, I'm frustrated by it. And again, I have been clear. I think Tyler Robinson was involved on that day. I think there were multiple people that were involved in that day. Obviously, most people were involved. I think he took clothes and hid them in the cemetery or whatever next to the Dairy Queen.
Do you want to understand what the
but I
right
don't-
is fucking invested in or not? That's the real question. Okay? If you want to understand what normies are tuning into, then you have to go where the normies are. This is what normies are tuning into. And they're getting fucking brain poisoned with a whole bunch of other right-wing propaganda amidst the Charlie Kirk conspiracies.
Explain it to us.
It's important to understand where they're coming from. When you see this kind of talking point out in the real world, you will now know where it's coming from and you will know how to address it. Okay? A lot of people do this. A lot of people used to do this when I used to watch Fox News as well. They're like, why do you watch Fox News? Oh, this is brain breaking. It's like, yeah, I know, man. It is. Okay? It is. But that's the reason why I'm fucking tapped into what the right is thinking, what they're going to say next. This has created a civil war on the right. Okay? This specifically has created a civil war on the right. Candace Owens is responsible for it almost single-handedly.
He wrote out his entire confession. You're seeing the footage. Nope, they can't do that. Well, guys, I'm happy to learn that Tyler Robinson is not AI, because I mean, that it's been so weird that we just can't see anything about him. Obviously, I'm being tongue in cheek, but he has finally appeared in person. He made his first in-person court appearance. Kind of seemed like he was smiling. I did not get the energy of someone who is worried about getting the electric chair. There's nothing really to add here. There wasn't anything that really came out of this hearing. Everything is obviously very preliminary at this stage. This is going to take a long time, but we're obviously hoping that they are going to allow transparency and accessibility to the case.
Wait, do you believe any of what she's saying? I feel like there are definitely a few weird things about the entire thing. I mean, there's always going to be weird shit about any fucking investigation.
Hopefully we will have more, but he exists, okay? We'll keep you posted. In other news or things that I'm frustrated about is just more than the people who hate me and are dedicated every minute, because apparently they're allowed to get clicks off of my name. I'm not allowed to talk about what I want to talk about on my show, but they can talk about what they want to talk about over and over and over again on their show. But I reserve more contempt for the people who don't have the courage to just hate me and instead try to hide behind Bible verses. There is something that deeply and spiritually
the fake Christian. She's a real Christian.
About that.
Call
and
out
chief
the fake
among
Christians.
them is Allie Beth Stuckey, okay? She presents herself, like her brand is squeaky, clean Christianity, does a lot behind the scenes. She's hired like a monster PR agent. Anyone will tell you that. There's not a single Daily.
She's also farming the anti-Israel crowd so hard. Like, look, only donating because Zios are not happy Candace is making money. Go Max Candace. That's the other thing. Because the anti-Israel position is the popular position, and it's the unironic bipartisan position, not on the political operator side, but on the, average American side, that there are a fuck ton of people that actually tapped into Candace Owens because she was offering the maximum anti-Israel position, even in this story. And she's farming the fuck out of those people, including members of the left. And every now and then when she says like, oh, it fucking feels like the lie of meritocracy is unfolding in front of us, when Barry Weiss, who is an objectively uncharismatic person, is elevated to a position of prominence over CBS News specifically so she can do Zionist propaganda, which is objectively fucking true, you can understand why there would be liberals and leftists who go, wow, she's really cooking here. Her grifting doesn't change that reality.
During BLM. Let's just read her post here. This really annoyed me, and even further, the comment section annoyed me. But she wrote, in 2020, we all became familiarized with the Kafka trap. It's a rhetorical trick wherein you insist that someone's denial of an accusation proves their guilt. You're denying you're a racist because of your white fragility. It's a way to make your arguments irrefutable without ever having to provide evidence. BLM uses this tactic repeatedly, and now Candace has taken a page out of their book. Anyone, including Charlie's own wife, who pushes back against her conspiracies are only doing so because it's a psyop. They're getting paid. It couldn't possibly be that people sincerely disagree with her methods or can disprove her faulty logic. It's an effective, albeit dishonest, way to solidify yourself as the only champion of truth. Now, first and foremost, this is a very unfortunate example for her to use BLM, saying that 2020 taught us that many people fall for this type of thing, because the truth is most people don't want to think. Actually, Allie, ironically, I actually did the documentary on BLM and George Floyd. And the lessons of the George Floyd movement was that the entire media, plus influencers, can collude to suspend rational thinking and can use emotional arguments, right, to get you to stop looking at a corrupt charity. I can't believe she used this example. It's like, there's nothing more that could be in my defense than saying, oh, remember what happened in 2020? Yeah, I do remember what happened in 2020. The media lied about George Floyd. They lied about how he died. A video went viral.
Here we go.
Every
Yeah, this is the
influencer
other side of
posted
Candace,
black
the
squares,
fucking
called
white
people racist,
supremacy.
said you were with them or you're against them. You
This
were
was a
evil.
big part
You
of
didn't
how she
understand how
gained
far racism
prominence,
had
too.
become. And then little old me did a video, and I disrupted this narrative by telling people the facts about George Floyd's background, his record. I then did a documentary on it, and I revealed to the world that the media actually is to blame. Like, they will collude with each other. These are powerful organizations. They can make something go viral. They can make evil look like good and good look like evil. That is actually the true lesson of corporate structure versus really just a few truth tellers, people who are actually willing and dared to question that narrative.
So this lady,
okay?
Allie Beth
Now, my
Stuckley,
issue
is
that
also
when people
apparently
push
like
back
a
on her, she just pulls
huge,
out the Bible. Okay. Like, for example, this is in the comments
huge
section.
in the
Somebody wrote
Christian.
to
Her podcast is always
because
top
she's been
10 religion and
sniping at
spirituality
me and
podcast
some
on Apple
really
Podcasts. She's
mean
often top
girl-esque.
5.
This person wrote this on Instagram.
And she
They wrote in the
apparently
comment
said
section,
that
"You keep
Allison or
inserting
whatever,
yourself
this
into
lady that she's
topic,
dunking
but you
on
never
right now,
add
Allie
any
B.
real value."
Stuckley,
So what is the agenda
part
for you
Jewish.
here? Candace wasn't
She said
even
her
mean to you
grandfather
when
is
you
like
inserted
great
yourself
grandfather
the
was
first
Jewish
time.
or
So
something,
mean
and
girl
that's the
energy,
reason
like,
why
that's
she's
a fair
disagreeing with
question.
Candace. That's
She
what
does
she's
have mean
saying.
girl energy. Then she says, oh, Britt, I comment on the news. Charlie was my good friend. No one commenting on this story is inserting themselves any more than Candace is. You don't see value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. Like, that sentence, just play it again. I want to read it again. You don't see the value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. My content is not for you then. How does that not just make your skin crawl? I don't know. Like,
She's
does that
literally
not make your skin
leaning
crawl?
into the Christian
Just
girlies
be
right now. She's
snipey
telling the
and
Christian
petty.
girlies that their
Stop
number one
using
Christian
the
resource,
Bible
who is also
as
a right-wing
shield
shithead, by the
for what
way,
you're doing.
is actually
I
bad.
really called you out. I don't know her. Thank you for saying it's very obvious what you're doing. To come back and say, I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. She is like Salve Regina George, right? Like, Mean Girls was fine because we all knew Regina George was mean, and she was like proud of that. Allie Beth Stuckey does the same like tactic of attacking people, sniping them, and then she's like, I'm sorry you don't like the Bible. I actually do like the Bible. You know, I haven't made
Ooh.
Christianity my
I
brand.
don't know. You're not as
because I'm a
Christ-maxing
Catholic,
as
and
I am
don't
right now.
believe that women can be priests and should be playing the part of pastors. I believe that if I have a question about the Bible, I should go to my priest, not to Allie Beth Stuckey on Instagram. But what I can say to you is that a main
She's saying
takeaway
she's a real ball knower.
the
She's a
truth.
real
You should commit
Christianity
yourself to the
enjoyer.
truth. And Allie
by
Beth
that,
Stuckey has
she's
gone
servile
through
to a man.
great cover up for people that are lying. Okay. No one worse than Josh Hammer. Okay. Josh Hammer explicitly lied about Charlie's state of mind. He went on multiple podcasts. He called me a liar. He never blinked on Israel. If I did not release that text message, that would have been the narrative. If you are
Haters.
a Christian and you
Also
purport to
donating
have been
$5
a
to tell her
good friend
she would
to
stop if
Charlie,
Erica Kirk asked.
that's low-hanging fruit to say what Josh Hammer did here was wrong. Okay. She says she's a good friend to Charlie, but when similarly I came out and said a thing about the Catholic faith, if you were a good friend, wouldn't you have said, you know what, Alex Clark, that whole little episode saying Charlie only liked architecture for what it's worth, it wasn't true. You wouldn't be running PR for her. If you were a friend to Charlie and you were committed to truth, then when Ben Shapiro lied and said that he never had any issues with Charlie, and I said that's not true, it's very, very much not true, why is your reaction?
You want to know
every
the
time that I
irony here?
expose the lie to-
Candace Owens, off of Charlie Kirk's death, has become significantly more popular than Charlie Kirk ever was. There was never a moment where Charlie Kirk, even with the tens of millions of dollars of a propaganda machine backing him, even with the president single-handedly, consistently propping him up, ever reached this level of real popularity that Candace Owens was able to reach.
True. That actually is not true. And all these people just attacked me for saying, oh, he had some issues with Israel in the end. Watch Allie, how manipulative it is that she is going to defend those characters who are lying and say that it's problematic that I am telling the truth after I've been lied on. Look at this clip.
She's released a bunch of texts about Ben between her and between Charlie, and, you know, basically saying that they didn't like Ben very much back in the day, 7 years ago. And I just will say, like, yeah, I would hate someone to, like, after I died, to reveal texts like that, like, between us, because those texts didn't make Ben look bad.
How
They
convenient.
made Charlie look bad. They made Charlie look
How
bad.
convenient.
Manipulative.
That's
She's
your
so
friend.
manipulative.
That's your friend, man. And why? I mean, that makes him. It makes.
Low-key, she's right, though. Those text messages do make Charlie look bad because Charlie was objectively pro-Israel and would have continued to be pro-Israel. But the reason why these guys don't think it makes Charlie look bad is because they have just bought into the notion that he was going to change his mind. The reality of the matter is he was never going to change his mind, and it's because he's a fucking cynical grifter and an operative that's pro-Trump, and as long as Trump was pro-Israel, which he was going to continue being, as he is still to this day, he was going to be pro-Israel in his outward posture.
After Charlie's death, she did do a CNN interview a couple weeks after Charlie died, though. And I just want to say, like, I know Alex and Lila really well. I know Seth. I've known Ben over the years. I know Josh. And everything I know about these people is that they are kind and genuine people. And I don't believe that they deserve at all to be implicated in this way.
I don't believe that they deserve to be called out when they're lying. I think it's fine that they attacked her. I think it's fine that they lied on her. The ugly thing is when Candace stands up for herself and brings receipts. So she demands evidence.
That's rich coming from the
Demands
author
evidence.
of
There's no
Toxic
evidence.
Empathy. I assume
present
that's
the
the name of the
evidence,
book that she wrote.
And then she says,
where she probably talked about how suicidal empathy, how Christianity doesn't mean you turn the other cheek to those who are destroying you, like Guatemalans or Haitians. You should actually be aggressive and conservative. That's the Christian
not
way.
allowing a bunch of people to grift after he dies by pretending they were friends with him and had no issues. People that literally tried to stop him from coming.
This is why I fucking love this shit, because they're all bad people, Chad. Okay? Every single person involved in this that is talking about either the pro-Israel position, anti-Israel position, every single person is bad. And Candace Owens is able to basically cook every single person by being the ultimate big bad, by saying, no, I'm the real fucking not virtue signaler. You're virtue signaling. Especially because when it comes down to it, on its fundamentals, people see her as the truth teller. Why do they see her as the truth teller? Not because of her closeness to Charlie Kirk, even though I'm sure that plays a role, but because she's anti-Israel. That's how fucking captivating the anti-Israel message actually is for a lot of people.
And people who are Zionists, even when they're caught lying, and that is not friendship, that is dishonesty. And like I said, you should be ashamed
Zionist tactics.
of yourself.
If Candace doesn't show the text, she's lying. If she shows the text, she's a bad friend. Zionist
Quote
tactics.
scripture, use scripture, manipulate well-meaning Christians to believe that it should be their Christian position to not call out lies, to not fight lies.
And because she
Just
was,
allow them
for
to
the longest time, anti-Semitic, but
I don't
pro-Israel,
like that at all.
and then won a lot of favors by becoming anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, she knows that the anti-Israel position is the popular one.
When they manipulate, that's worse than just hate it. You can hate me for free. You don't got to hold up a Bible when you do it. Take a quick break, and I will get to some of your questions. All right, I tell you that me and my team love Paleo Valley beef sticks, specifically their meat sticks with 100% grass-fed beef sourced from small-scale
paleo meat sticks. But do you understand? This is an unstoppable force. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, who has more legitimacy in the eyes of, like, the right wing? Who could single-handedly stop this stuff? Donald Trump? Probably. That's it. Not J.D. Vance. I think the only person that could potentially put a dent in Candace Owens' credibility amongst the super far right, and not even just the far right, but just like the base, is Donald Trump. And I do think eventually, it's not Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is terrified of Candace Owens' impact. Tucker Carlson has defended Candace Owens on the Theo Von podcast and then had to like basically take back some of the defense of Candace Owens and say, well, I'm asking questions just like she is because, the FBI has done a somewhat of a bad job of like giving us somewhat of a bad job of giving us answers on the serious questions that we have about Charlie Kirk. And the only reason why he did that was because he's about to appear on Turning Point USA like next week. I think the Epstein stuff put a pretty big dent in the... As an ex-Ali and Leela subscriber, thank you. I don't have the platform to put these disingenuous women in their place. Thank you for speaking on behalf of us. Like, I think this is the purest expression of anger and resentment that a lot of these people have towards, like, what they perceive as fakeness, insincerity from the right-wing commentariat, because they've noticed that there are pro-Israel, and most of these people are not.
Wrote, Erica Kirk will forgive someone 1 week later for murdering her husband, but she won't forgive someone for not believing the FBI narrative. I saw a lot of people commenting that online, that the energy definitely feels different for people that want to get to the truth than it does for the person who she believes killed her husband. And I don't believe that is the person who pulled the trigger. I just don't. And you're allowed to disagree with Erica. You are. And that's fine. She's allowed to think what she thinks, and you're allowed to think what you think. That's what I want you guys to know. Don't allow this strategy to stop you from standing by your convictions. Butterfly writes, Candace, you mentioned several times that if Erica asked you to stop, you would, in fact, stop. Will you honor her request? Please stand by your word and honor what Charlie left behind. Prayers to you. I was very clear here. Erica asked me to stop lying, and I will immediately abide by that request. Candace is lying. What do you want to say? Please stop. Please stop lying. I understand. I comprehend. What I don't comprehend is what I've lied about. Have I made errors along the way? Yes. But as soon as she tells me what it is I've lied about, I will cease lying immediately. Further to that point, this person writes, the pro-Fed slop comments come in two flavors. One, you said you would stop if she asked, so stop. Two, she's jealous of Erica marrying Charlie. We see through this PR, keep pushing Candace. That's another thing that I want to say. It's very obvious to me that was part of like the dress rehearsal, right? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to say, stop.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Stop. And then we are going to have all of these paid influencers.
I mean,
like,
they went
look,
to
where's the
photos
stopping?
of
And
Mercer,
all these
Erica Kirk with
bots
Benjamin
saying it
Netanyahu's son,
online.
Yair Netanyahu
Again,
in 2019
it's
in
obvious
Israel.
that it would take X amount of influencers to say the same thing. And before someone broke, what's the purpose of this?
Look,
It could not.
I don't think Erica Kirk is Mossad. Okay, I don't. Personally, I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that Erica Kirk is Mossad. But if you are already brain broken with how much Israel has basically fucking involved itself in American domestic political affairs, if you already started recognizing that, if you already, and it bricked your consciousness, okay? Then she's going on Fox News and saying, Charlie used to say Shabbat Shalom every Friday and lock up his phone on sundown. And we hired a Shabbos goy or some shit, okay? You're instant. Like, how are you not anti-Semitic after that, okay? Like, I don't understand what the fuck these guys are doing. I don't understand where this is coming from. Or like, they wrote a book about how Charlie loves Israel and released it post-mortem. It's like the Benjamin Netanyahu moment where I couldn't believe that Benjamin Netanyahu would do multiple straight-to-camera videos amidst a genocide where he was like, yeah, we did not kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk loved Israel. Charlie Kirk was the biggest fan of Israel. And, you know, would someone who would kill Charlie Kirk look like this? Like, yeah, that was weird. That's a weird thing. So it's just like, it almost feels like they're setting it up so perfectly for people to just like go insane. So of course, someone like Candace Owens is going to lean into it. She's in the perfect place in the perfect time. People are demanding more conspiratorial narratives. She's got that. Okay. People are demanding anti-Semitic narratives. She's got that. People are demanding anti-Israel narratives. She's got that. You know what I mean?
Story will be about.
And on top of that, she's got the wine moms because she spent the last couple of years consistently talking about like wine mom shit, you know? Reality TV, Justin Baldoni, Real Housewives drama. She's better than Alex Jones in that regard.
Just so you guys know, here's a fun fact. I had a boyfriend. I had a whole boyfriend that entire time. It was just I was nowhere near Charlie's type, and Charlie was nowhere near mine. Okay. That was just a little brother. Truly was a little brother, and we had a lot of fun together. So that is ridiculous. That weird push is,
I don't believe that,
reeking of similar desperation, because I think we're getting close. I think this is all reaction, as some of you have pointed out in the comments from yesterday's episode, that suddenly we started talking about Pierre and that $1 billion incentive, and they went crazy. They started going max.
Why is Barry Weiss running damage control for TPOC in the first place? Seems very important. As that the official narrative is upheld. That's interesting.
Cassie writes, I'm sorry, but I am just not understanding Erica's responses. It does feel elite. People with power and money trying to hold on to something taped together with lies and deception, attacking people for asking.
Why don't I believe Candace Owens that they had a work wife situation or work wife thing going on? I don't know. Maybe because I've seen them together. Have you seen the videos of them jamming out the Nicki Minaj and shit? Bro, they were lovers, okay? I'm sorry. If anything, the reason their closeness is the reason why so many people tuned into what Candace had to say, as opposed to Erica Kirk. They had more chemistry together than anyone else that I've seen Charlie Kirk with.
And don't forget, coming Brigitte. Nobody was talking about that in the West, in the English-speaking world. It's an obscure topic that I got passionate about. And what is Brigitte saying in court? What is he saying in court? Oh, she's doing this for money and clicks. It's always the same arguments, for money and for clicks. But when they make the videos accusing you of doing it for money and clicks, they're not doing that for money and clicks. They're doing that because, well, if you want to know about the Bible, if you don't want to know about biblical stuff, that's what I'm here for. My content's not for you. My
You're
content
being
is simply not
parasocial?
for
I don't think so. If you watch the video speaks for
I'll
itself.
find a proverb.
The video that she posted
from the Bible,
the compilation
and
of
start
them
using that.
chopping it up,
maybe that will make it make sense for some people. If I'm
speaks
super
for
kind of
itself.
fraud and I say, oh well, what we can extrapolate from this biblical text is that 30-06s don't stop human necks, then you just have to accept it because it becomes biblical. I have a comment here from Diane. She writes, why did they have to tell us the color of Tyler's
That's
shirt
cope.
maroon?
Charlie would
Why was
never have
that
been intimate
important
with a
to
black woman.
highlight?
They
I
were
didn't
just
think about
cleaning
that
out.
at the time, but there is obviously an angle here, and we are still working on it. That the
Candace, I
Maroon
beg you, have
Boys
someone on your team consolidate
that
all your
puts
evidence so
out
that
and
people who
now
haven't
trying
been
to say,
following can
"That's
catch
so
up quickly. There are a
crazy."
lot of people I'm trying to educate quickly.
And
Go, Max.
apparently they also mentioned the Maroon Boys in Erica's propagandized piece that's going to come out with Barry Weiss. They're going to mention the Maroon Boys because their strategy is that's just so crazy. But all the men in the military are like, no, Candace, that's not crazy at all. That represents Air Force. And also that 10th Brigade, it turns out their color, the 10th Mountain Brigade, maroon.
For
So
those of you
we're
who
on the
are
right track,
asking,
and we're going to keep pushing.
who's her audience over and over again? Her audience is everyone. Okay. This is like the closest I have ever seen someone achieve like a Joe Rogan level of audience. Like stupid people of all different backgrounds. Okay. This is the coworker audience. She has achieved maximum coworker audience. Like your liberal wine moms, your liberal moms are probably watching her. She is the great unifier. Nick Fuentes will expose you anytime, anywhere.
In this documentary, What a Woman Is. Take a listen.
It's been answered simply. A woman is not a man. But in our age, it's never been answered with any specificity.
What is this?
a
Is this
woman
Matt Walsh?
actually
Is she promoting from the director of the global phenomenon died suddenly? Oh my God.
The patriarchy is reality. You have no choice between patriarchy and no patriarchy.
Feminism is one of the key elements they had to do first to bring about all the other revolutions. So whether it's the 60s counterculture revolution or whether it's
What the
biological
fuck?
trans
Not House and Habit. Wait. Oh shit. Someone is talking shit about me in the chat. Not House and Habit posting that Candace is acting like a scorned ex-lover interest. Just as Candace explained that little brother relationship. Okay, calm down. You know, we're a part of the clandestine operations here, okay, at the Hasanabi broadcast. Except I do think that, you know, there might have been more to their relationship. That's all I'm saying, okay? Wrong chat. No, I'm responding to that chat too. They got an exorcist in the documentary. Yeah, what is a woman? Now what a woman is. You're reading two chats? How? Because I'm crazy. Yeah, God forbid a clandestine ships, okay? Oh my God, there's more ads. Oh my God, there's so many ads. Holy fuck. I've never been more happy that my mom is dead so I don't have to walk in on her watching this shit. Authenticity. Erica Kirk lacks authenticity. She's acting like a pro queen, throwing a tantrum. Stop making fun of me. Stomp, stomp. Stop investigating. Ha ha ha. Go Max. Candace. Hashtag justice for Charlie. Yeah, I'm telling you, this train can only be stopped by someone like Donald Trump. And even then, it'll put a dent in the fucking base a little bit, depending on how Candace plays her cards after. Because she is the top dog.
Into your hundreds and thousands of dollars per video.
The number one white supremacist in the nation is a black woman, ladies and gentlemen. What a fucking time to be alive. That's just the kind of country America is, okay? She's been fuck Donald Trump all year. He's not stopping shit. Yeah, but it's a little different if Donald Trump directly says fuck Candace Owens. Was her explosion in popularity due to her reaction to Charlie Kirk? No.
We're benefiting the most. We're inside of the very charity that called themselves Black Lives Matter. And they were implicated. They were implicated in greed and corruption.
And amidst all of this commentary, she's like, BLM sucks. George Floyd wasn't murdered but died of fentanyl. Ukraine is bullshit. Vaccines are bullshit. They told you all these lies.
New
like,
year, same
she's
Candace, different
baking.
topic.
She is literally cooking
I'm
her
always
audience's
standing up
brain.
to, I guess, pop culture. And that's what they're trying to say. Like TPUSA is now popular because we have enough money to make it so. I don't care. I've never been mainstream. I've constantly been swimming against the mainstream my entire life. Like I said to Charlie in that message, I've always felt like an alien. I don't understand the rules here. I don't know why it's required that I be fake and gay to live on this planet, okay? But I can't do it. I spiritually can't do it. So what is next? What is the next thing? We've done the fake Bible stuff.
Also,
now we're doing the
in my experience, what I've found out from like all the back and forth online that I have never actually wanted to be a part of, you really can't stop people. Like, there's not really much you can do. If someone is just fucking insane, right? If someone is fucking insane, they can just keep going, especially if they garner attention and generate a lot of clicks off of going ham, there is nothing you can really do. You're kind of fucked. And the Erica Kirk stuff actually perfectly proves this, because she hasn't been playing her cards right, but she's getting all of the fucking support from mainstream media. Everyone is constantly wagging the finger, and none of it matters, because the real eyeballs are in the hands of someone like Candace Owens. This is a real threat. Actually not think Charlie would have been forced to change his opinion on Israel or risk being booed off every single stage of college campuses? Please answer. Yes, because he was already at that point. I don't think you guys understand. The attitude didn't change that dramatically before Charlie Kirk got fucking sniped. It was already there. The enmity was already there. Nick Fuentes' fans were already up his ass. And the way that he was able to, the way that he found he was able to like change people's attention, like shift people's attention to other shit, was by really increasing the intensity of his reactionary commentary on like migrants, black people, that sort of stuff, right? College tour, campus tour changed that calculation. She was already doing college campus tours. She was already doing it. I mean, he was already doing it. Sorry. No, it doesn't change that calculation at all. Also, one thing that a lot of people are failing to consider is that a lot of the base leaving Donald Trump is not just because of the Epstein stuff. It's not just because of the Charlie had next to no motion on college campuses or even with young conservatives. He used a money pit for old boomers who were fooled into thinking he had motion. He was someone only old ass boomers, right wingers listen to, self-deluding into thinking he had a young audience. This is true. And also on top of that, the college campus tour, you think, was like this premier event that every single fucking person was tuning into live in real time. No, they were just cutting whoever was talking shit. They were cutting out whoever was talking shit about Israel on those campus tours. It's just like with Steve Crowder. The debate slop was for the internet. And what you saw on the Turning Point USA videos was oftentimes not the actual, not the entire conversation, but the conversation that was being chopped up and repackaged. The crowd was big. It don't matter. Chatter is fucking insane. He was absolutely cooking on TikTok. What are we talking about? He got a big benefit from getting boosted on TikTok during the election cycle when TikTok was under threat, and TikTok made a decision to literally fucking get Donald Trump's biggest crony and Donald Trump himself onto TikTok and pump them. Okay? This is true. But ultimately, all of the people, regardless of how like these events were being conducted, you are thinking about it as you're thinking about it with today's eyes, after Charlie Kirk was like elevated into prominence and was basically everywhere for the past like 2 months, especially after his assassination. Before then, when Charlie Kirk would go to a college campus, a fuck ton of people, including the last guy that asked him a question, for example, to which he responded with counting or not counting gang violence before being shot in the neck, was actually there oftentimes to get a clip off themselves. And there were a lot of like Nick Fuentes acolytes and people who were anti-Israel that would go to those things. But the amount of attention that would be given to those things was not as significant as you think it is. Okay? Like, sure, people were already asking Charlie Kirk Israel-related questions. They were doing that already, but those things were getting lost in the editing floor. They were getting cut down. Because he has still, at the end of the day, almost full control over the largest platform that those clips can ever reach. Yeah, I watched most of the good old Southern boys criticize Israel and reference USS Liberty at Auburn University, John Jr.'s face. They are not showing that stuff on the compilations. Yeah, that stuff was already happening. And you didn't even know about it. And the reason why you didn't know about it is because they were not getting fucking... they're not going to put themselves getting owned on their TikTok compilations. So the idea that Charlie Kirk was like super worried about this, he was more so worried about this from the perspective of like losing the younger audience to Israel, okay, to the Israel issue, to the Groypers. He was worried about that for sure. And the way he tried to package that was to keep their attention on just increasing the intensity of his racist commentary on other shit. There is a real hemorrhaging of the base because of the Israel stuff. Okay? Anyway. But yeah, even after Before his death, how familiar were you with Charlie Kirk? All adults at 29%, not familiar at all at 26%. But I think if you look at like age, the very familiar for the 18 to 29 was at 24, and 30 to 44 was at 26%, and that was only because of TikTok. Pre-TikTok boost, these numbers would have been completely the opposite. In that case, why do you think he accepted to talk about Israel with you? Because I'm not a right-winger. So he could present my position as the anti-Israel position as a leftist position. Because there are a lot of people on the right who will see me advocate for something and then immediately take the opposing viewpoint. Because they're operating on vibes. So debating someone like myself and assuming the pro-Israel stance is actually, one, going to look good for his donors. All right. It's going to look good for the establishment Republicans, and also, two, has the capacity to negatively polarize some people on the right from his perspective. It's much more damaging for. Why did you agree to debate him then? Because I was going to cook his ass. What the fuck do you mean? I'm saying that's his opinion. That doesn't mean that the outcome was going to favor him. Are you crazy? So. Yeah, him agreeing to debate you on Israel actually proves your point that he was not going to flip on them. Otherwise, he would not put himself in that position, obviously. Exactly. But that's where it is. The girlies are suing each other. Dan Crenshaw suing Sean Ryan. Nice. Also, yeah, at the time, Charlie was already getting bad clips of his debates, too, because the Cambridge University stuff did a number on him, too. Stop saying VGA. It's not starting yet. There's like 13 more minutes. I do think that the other reason as to why the base is no longer fucking with Trump as much and Trump's approvals are diminishing is mostly because there were a lot of people that voted for him because they believed that he would actually lower prices somehow. Sure, that's stupid, but they believed it nonetheless. So there are transactional voters there that voted for him for that reason. And that didn't happen. So now they're like, okay, well, fuck this shit. So you have to also account for that. Because like I said, Charlie Kirk wasn't this like singular, brilliant individual that was able to like change people's perspective so dramatically. Okay. If that was the case, Trump's approvals would not have been already in the gutter when he was alive. Epstein stuff played a big role in this, but I think the major reason as to why there's a lot of buyer's remorse, maybe not by the most invested Republicans, but there's a lot of buyer's remorse from independents, for example, is because people are suffering financially still. If you don't offer things to your base, if you don't offer treats to your base, if you don't offer any sort of like alleviation to your base, after promising them that you would do that, then there's only so much pain and struggle they can take until they go, okay, I'm beginning to recognize that this shit's not working. I'm beginning to recognize that this shit is ass. Okay? Anyway, I don't know how people are doing this thing where they're like co-streaming it, but I don't know how they're co-streaming it. I don't know what the fuck is my streamer awards shared ingest. I have like a shared ingest with the streamer awards in my fucking IRL run somehow, but it's beginning in 10 minutes and 36 seconds. Okay, you click on the button to co-stream. But yeah, I'm gonna dive into that. Where is it? Is it here? You are allowed to co-stream the streamer awards. How are you supposed to do that? Large scale esports main broadcaster. Co-streamer. Streamer's been allowed listed by main broadcasters to co-stream the main broadcast. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can. But yeah, we are waiting. So no dispatch tonight? Okay, none of you motherfuckers will ever be happy. None of you motherfuckers will ever be happy, okay? Do you think you'll go back to news coverage today or gaming after? Take a day off. Come back tomorrow at this time and ask me that question again. Before we get into the streamer awards though, or not streamer awards, the video game awards. Let's take a look at this video game. that I'm excited for. I will be playing this on stream for sure. 14 Years of Flames, a story-driven FPS that replays China's struggle in the Second Sino-Japanese War. 1931 to 1945, players embody 7 key characters and battle through 16 real historical events, experiencing the hardships and sacrifices of over 14 years of struggle. Land weeps in 14 years of war. For those of you who don't know, this is actually a pretty pivotal fucking thing, a pretty pivotal work, because the Japanese were literally the Nazis of the Pacific, right? And a lot of people don't know that because there's not a lot of fucking work surrounding the heinous war crimes that the Japanese imperial fascists did, specifically in China. What's really interesting to me is that I thought the Chinese censors were pretty fucking aggressive about blood, but it turns out this game is gonna be bloody as hell. I have no idea what the fuck he's saying, bro. And also, I don't know where the pre-show is. I tuned in for like 2 minutes. What the fuck's happening? There's a new Chinese game coming out about the Sino-Soviet War, the Second Sino-Soviet War from 1931 to 1945, and it will show the gruesome shit that the Japanese did. Or did I say Sino-Soviet? I meant Sino-Japanese. Sorry. Fuck. Not Sino-Soviet. I apologize. No pre-show. Here's the link. I just want to know what the freaking Demon Gate Desert statue is. Yeah, I want to know too. No, it's not World War II, chatter. It's not. It starts off prior to World War II. That's why I said the Sino-Japanese War. Japan was Demon Gate Divinity Original Sin. It's technically a part of World War II, but it started prior to World War II. Like Japan was already doing like 10 years of fuck shit before World War II. Oh, what is it? Do I knock to co-stream it? Is that how you do it? I don't fucking know. Yeah, Japanese history educational war crimes are abysmal, by the way. There's weird historical revisionism. I know. And apparently they were doing some, no, dude, there's a co-stream button. I don't see it, brother. Maybe I don't have it. The fuck? Have you thought about refresh your stream? The countdown is delayed. There is no, oh, this is the co-stream button. It's not the knock button. Here, I'm co-streaming. Okay, there it is. You got game devs dunking on the guns and sports only gamers. Oh my God, Okami.
This year, the stars aligned for some very magical things to happen at our anniversary show.
Sure.
Things that might not have ever seemed a possibility. If you truly love video games like I do, this moment is for all of us.
Please full screen. Shut the fuck up. Now you want me to full screen? The entire day, you guys were begging me to turn back chat. And now that I fucking brought back chat, now you're like, no, full screen, please. I don't think I'll ever be able to satisfy you motherfuckers, dude. I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's happening. We wanted you to end the full screen so you could see the co-stream button, bruh. Now that that's fixed. People are saying that the game will be banned in Japan, but I can see it right now on Japan on Steam. Half-Life 3 Trust? Sure. Wait, Game Awards has its own thing? Oh, it is. I already did. I'm on the Game Awards category, and I'm co-streaming the Game Awards category. Half-Life something very likely. I don't know about 3. Dude, Divinity 3 is going to be like Baldur's Gate 3.5. All right, we're in. We're doing it.
Damn, this guy's good.